Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play 428 Shibuya Scramble. Last time, oh my god, last time, so Kano found out that, the organization, the endpoint that they were going to drop off the case of money was, Tanaka. It took me longer than I'd like to admit to remember the guy's name. But yeah, Tanaka's apartment. Osawa figured this out after it was learned that I had planted a bug on Tanaka to find out where he was going and stuff. And then Osawa worked out a deal with Minorikawa, who was able to fix his computer and like work on more stuff and interview the theater troupe leader. But yeah, he worked out a deal with Minorikawa to find out as much as he could about Tanaka and the story that was written about Osawa like way back when. Maria, well, she just went to the mall, tried to get some clothes, and had a lot of mishaps with Achi, who thought that was Hitomi because, you know, twins. And Achi was hiding out with Hitomi in the mall, away from the organization and the man with the gun. And for the most part, they're safe now. But they're with Kanan, who wants to tell them something. And Maria is with the man with the gun. Honestly, I want to see where this is going. Oh, she's so happy. Wait, hold on. Is my name Hitomi Osawa? At my shout, the man with the cane hesitates, his finger on the trigger. What do you mean by that? The barrel of the gun is still aimed squarely at my head. I mean exactly what I said. Is my name Hitomi Osawa? I don't know who I am. You're trying to play games with me. I'm not playing with anyone, I swear. I'm utterly desperate now. Getting killed is one thing, but who wants to die without even knowing who they are? Tell me, am I Hitomi Osawa or not? The man gives me a good hard look. Damn it, I wonder. He continues to study me along the barrel of the gun. Tell me what you know. It's an order, not a request. What I know about what? Look, I have amnesia. I quickly summarize what's happened to me since I woke up in that storehouse. The man listens intently, never taking his eyes off me. I see. So that's what's going on then. Once I'm done with my story, the man with the cane sits down on an empty soda crate. Seems he believes me at any rate. That's a relief if nothing else. So then, am I Hitomi Osawa? No. Then who is Hitomi Osawa? Is she someone who looks like me? Shut your mouth, the man spits. Just be quiet. His expression is vacant. What am I going to do? He mutters to himself. If I'm not Hitomi Osawa, does that mean you don't have any business with me? Seems so. In that case, can I go? The assassin doesn't answer. He lets his pistol hang limp in his hand, the muzzle dropping to point at the ground. It doesn't look like he wants to kill me anymore, but it doesn't look like he'll just let me go quietly either. Remain motionless? I remain motionless, waiting for an opportunity to run away. I might not make it in time. The man murmurs to himself under his breath. Not make it in time for what? I'm curious now, but this is hardly the time or place to try to find out more. I've learned for certain that I'm not Hitomi Osawa, which basically tells me nothing. I'm right back to square one on figuring out who I am. The assassin has gone quiet, sitting on a pile of crates. He seems lost in thought. Still, I don't dare try to get away. All I can do is stand and wait and mull over my own situation. Just who am I? I ask myself again and again. I am. No, I have no business with you, the man finally says. Go. Don't worry, I won't follow you. I wonder if I can believe him. Maybe he's just trying to get me off my guard so he can shoot me in the back. Do not go to the police or go back home, he continues. Lay low by yourself somewhere for a while. How long is a while? Until around sundown. This should all be over by then. It'll all be over? I have no idea what it is, but I decide not to pry in case he decides to change his mind. Okay, I'm going to run away now. Sure. I take a slow step backward. I'm starting to turn away when he speaks up again. Before you go, I need to tell you one more thing. What's that? When you get your memories back, I'm sure you're going to hate me. And so I apologize in advance. Of course, I have no idea what he's talking about, but it makes me even more uneasy. She's gonna hate him for killing Hitomi. Oh my god, I truly am sorry. I've got no response for that, so I just give the man one last look before I turn and run. I decide to look for some place to hide out for a while, as the gunman suggested. But since I don't really know my left from my right in this town, that's easier said than done. Before I realize it, I made my way back to the knick-knack shop where I bought the necklace. Maybe I could hide out in here. As I contemplate that possibility, I hear an all too familiar voice. Tama, 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 Tama. Oh my god. There's Mr. Yanagashita on the floor of the shop. He's been tied up with some rope. What happened, boss? Look, this is all just... I was framed. Nah, whatever's happened, I'm pretty sure it was all his fault. Just call it a hunch. He says I'm a thief. Well, I say he's the thief for selling stuff he finds around town. Hey, the sales clerk steps into view scowling. Just what are you implying? What in the world is going on in here? I haven't the foggiest. Tama, help me. Please. Ooh. Yanagashita kicks and squirms like a hyperactive child. Do you know this man? The sales clerk asks. No. Well, I mean, sorta. He's a real pain. He's been making a scene like this for as long as he's been here. I find it hard to imagine a worse way to interfere with someone's business. I hate to ask, the clerk continues, but could you take him to the police for me? The police? Yeah. Oh, well, the police... The gunman did specifically warn me not to go to them. Lie. I feel no loyalty to that killer, but I am reluctant to antagonize him. And for reasons I can't explain, I have a strong sense that going to the police right now is a bad move. No, it would actually be the best possible thing to happen here. But Mr. Yanagashita isn't privy to my thoughts, and he looks up at me with a hopeful gleam in his eye. Yeah, that'll work. Tama can take me to the police. And then we can put this all behind us. All's well that ends well, right? Well, sure. Feel like I have no choice, so I leave the shop with him. Okay, Miss Yanagashita says excitedly as soon as we're out of earshot. Now let's go find Cheery. Huh? Are we going to the pole? What? No! We're not really going. Oh man, I'm so glad you showed up, Tama. Now come on, let's go find Cheery. From the big grin on his face, I have an inkling of what's coming next. You've thought of another get-rich-quick scheme, haven't you? Goodness, Tom, you can see right through me. It's not that difficult. It's practically written all over your face, boss. Mr. Yanagashita isn't really listening. He's too full of enthusiasm. This time, I got a line on 10 million yen. Come on, let's go make ourselves stinking rich. He punctuates his grand announcement by pointing fervently at some non-existent listener. Yeah, there's nobody else here staring directly at you too, while there's text on the screen. What? Several weeks later. Iron Stomach, a celebration of truly astonishing appetites, when the mighty stomach triumphs over the endless cavalcade of iceberg. The hero shall be blessed with fortune. I stand with cheer you on the winner's podium. The cheers and applause are deafening when the master of ceremonies makes the announcement. Cheery is the champion! She laughs with delight as she holds up the trophy that signifies her 10 million yen win. And me? I got runner-up! I wasn't too into the idea at first, but after giving it a shot, I found that professional gluttony kinda grows on you. Even I was surprised by how much I could eat, and I had to admit it felt kinda good. My memory still hasn't come back, but that doesn't matter anymore. I found myself a new purpose. To steal Cheery's spot on the throne. That right there is now my greatest goal in life. Okay, how in the world do I stop this bad end? What? Why are all of her bad ends, like, actually good? Tama never got her memories back. She ended up starting a new life on the competitive eating circuit, which may not be a horrible fate, but wouldn't it be better if she recovered her old life as Maria? Less rich, but okay. When she was cornered in the alley by the man with the cane, there's someone who could have turned up and helped her out. Yanagashita. But he can't do that if he ends up getting tied up at the knick-knack shop. What? Okay. Well, that... That's a weird one. That is a weird one. Well then, let's go to Achi. Kanan led them into a narrow back alley. The moment she stopped, Hitomi spoke up. Members of SOS don't come by here very often, or much rather. Word has it that in this place... The phone is gonna ring. Okay, we're good. Word has it that in this place, around 10 years ago, one man beat the crap out of 7 street toughs in the blink of an eye, all by himself. Over time, people have offered various theories, that he was an assassin, that he was some foreign soldier, even that he might have been a ghost. And to this day, the urban legend lives on. Why was my sister kidnapped? Before I answer that, there's something I need to tell you, Kanan said. Her tone was cold and sharp. I've come to Japan because I'm on a mission. I'm not at liberty to discuss all the details. Alright, Hitomi gave a slight nod. To answer your question, Maria was kidnapped by mistake. What? Hitomi gasped. But why? Because this kidnapper isn't after Maria. They're after you. Who's after me? The mastermind behind this whole thing, Kanan said. Her tone was matter-of-fact. Whoa, hold on, Achi interrupted. What do they want Hitomi for? That I cannot say. Well then, who is this person? I can't tell you that either. You see, their sex, nationality, age, appearance, just about everything about them is shrouded in mystery. So there's honestly not much I can tell you. Achi and Hitomi stood dumbfounded. What gives? Achi said. So you're saying all you know is that this person is some lame name like Mastermind? What is this? Danganronpa? Another game by Spike Chunsoft? Okay. Hitomi turned to whisper in his ear. Mastermind isn't actually their name. Originally used solely to refer to someone of remarkable intellect, the term first took on its criminal connotations in the 19th century. The more you know. I'm here, Kanan spat, because I'm looking for revenge. Revenge? Hitomi asked. What for? This person also killed my friend. Kanan's inscrutable eyes flashed with a threatening gleam. Earlier you said that it was your fault my sister got kidnapped, Hitomi said. Kanan cast her eyes down. 4 days ago, I managed to learn this criminal's plan. So I got in touch with Maria and told her that you were going to be attacked at that party. That's why she told her not to come! Oh my... So that's why she told me not to go. Hitomi's voice trembled as she spoke. I gave Maria a small GPS tracker to give to you, but I guess you never got it? Global Positioning System, a network of man-made satellites and ground-based control stations for providing geolocation data. Alternately, a device that makes use of said system. Modern cell phones and vehicle navigation systems use the GPS. And that is how GPS works. Hitomi shook her head. I see. She must still have it then. Would she? Wait, so then my sister... The color drained from Tomi's face as she understood. Yes, Kanan replied. Maria acted as a decoy and let herself get kidnapped in your stead. Hitomi swayed on her feet, shocked to the verge of fainting. Achi hurriedly reached out and caught her in his arms. But wait, he said to Kanan as he held Hitomi up. I don't get that either. Why didn't neither of them go? Then nobody would have been kidnapped, right? I mean, why'd her sister need to go and act as a decoy? Kanan let out a tiny sigh. If she hadn't gone to the party, the kidnappers would have just found some other opportunity to come after her. Okay, Achi nodded. That sort of makes sense. I'm betting that Maria's plan was to use the GPS to lead me to these guys' hideout. She wanted to keep her sister safe, and also figured she could keep me with help me with my mission. It's the sort of scheme she'd think of. So then, can't you use the GPS to locate Hitomi's sister? Achi asked. Kanan shook her head. The GPS hasn't been powered on since she was kidnapped. It's possible the kidnappers took it from her. Wait, what? So after all that, even you can't find Maria? Achi slumped his shoulders in disappointment. I didn't say that. What do you mean? I got some intel from those syndicate members we met earlier. Apparently, sometime this morning they put Maria into a blue minivan, and since then they've been moving her all around Shibuya. No, they haven't. It's a lie. Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances at the mention of the blue minivan. Unfortunately, Kanan continued, those operatives didn't know what the current situation was exactly. So we're back to the blue van then. Achi hurriedly explained what they'd been through so far. He mentioned how they'd first seen the blue van where the kidnappers had told Hitomi to find it. He also described how first the man with the cane and then a host of others had come after them. He got a little sidetracked here and there, but Kanan quietly listened to the end. I see, she muttered. So then, what do you think? Achi asked. Seems like we messed up their scheme a little, huh? Whatever the case, this man with the cane concerns me, Kanan said. I doubt he's working with the others. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's it. Some guy who isn't involved butts in and throws off their whole plan. Kanan nodded in agreement. Because you and that man with the cane showed up, she said, they couldn't leave the minivan where it was. They took a sensible precaution. But then if you think about it, isn't this an opportunity for us to turn the tables on Mr. Mastermind? Kanan flashed him a faint speculative smile. I wonder about that. Oh, come on, Achi grumbled. You're such a buzzkill. Any well-made plan has a good solid outline, which means that even after it has come to fruition, it's easy to trace things back to the planner. Is that how that works? By contrast, if you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred, and it makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Achi swallowed hard as he took in the gravity of the situation. Well, but I mean, like, if there's an accident, people are going to for sure panic. Plan or not. The corners of Kanan's lips curled up. Typically, I suppose, she said. But the people who are after Hitomi, not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposely left certain tiny holes in it. And so we can't even figure out who they are. The outline of the plan is always too blurry. Achi had no response to that. It was like he was hearing about some completely different world beyond the one he knew. If what Kanan had said was true, he'd been dealing with opponents that were on a level way above his own. In any event, since these people are after you, it'd be best if you didn't wander around town anymore, Kanan told him. By now, Hitomi had recovered. She stood up straight and shook her head. No, I'm going to find that blue minivan. My sister is in danger because of me. I can't abandon her just to save myself. Yeah, that's right. Achi patted Hitomi on the back. And if that's what you're going to do, then I don't care who we're up against. I'm with you in this until the end. Heck, it's too late for me to back out now. That ship has already failed. Hitomi giggled despite herself. It's already sailed, Achi. Yeah. Kanan let out another little sigh. Alright, just make sure you're extra careful, she said. You can't count on getting bailed out of trouble like you have before. I understand, Hitomi said. Her eyes showed no trace of doubt or fear. Kanan gave her a slight nod, then quickly disappeared down the alleyway. Shouldn't y'all just stay with her? I mean, she did murder every single member of the syndicate, like, that was in the hideout. I would stay with her. Okay. Right then, Achi said. Want to get back to looking for that minivan? Then he stopped, remembering their previous efforts. If they just heedlessly wandered around town, they'd probably end up in the same trouble they'd encountered before. They'd get chased by the man with the cane, or by the kidnappers, and their search would be interrupted yet again. What should they do, then? There had to be a better way. Achi happened to glance upward and caught sight of a surveillance camera installed on one of the streetlights. That's it! Gah, can't believe I didn't think of it before. Hitomi peered at him, startled by his sudden shouting. We just need to use my old man's surveillance cameras and this will be a breeze. Achi took Hitomi by the hand and started running. His destination? The security camera monitoring room in Dogenzaka. Ooh, boy. Achi didn't slow his pace until they were nearing their destination. Then he turned to look back at Hitomi. He was about to ask if she was doing alright when someone close at hand called out to him. Well, this was unexpected. Hey, mind if I ask you something? Have you ever heard of SOS? Achi stopped in his tracks as a stranger stepped in front of him. This guy looked too old to be picking a fight with SOS. Achi regarded him with suspicion. Yeah, why do you ask? Do you happen to be a member yourself? No, not anymore. The man's eyes flashed with a gleam of recognition. Did this guy know who he was? With a broad grin, the stranger took a step closer. Achi's heart sank. He couldn't afford to get caught up in some new hassle right now. Hitomi flashed him a worried look. Let's go. Achi and Hitomi dodged past the man and hurried onward. Even if the guy was harmless, they needed to be on their guard. There was no telling just how many thugs and assassins were looking for Hitomi. Rather than head directly for the surveillance building, Achi decided he better make sure the stranger wasn't up to something. Hitomi followed as he slipped quickly into a back alley. There was no indication that the man was following them. "What's that guy's deal?" Hitomi asked. "No idea. But he sure seemed kind of fishy. Doesn't he look like he's coming after us? Oh, doesn't look like he's coming after us, though." That's strange that Minorikawa would let them get away, considering he had his story right there. They took a quick detour through another seedy back alley. Then, as they were starting to head toward their original destination, Achi felt a sudden searing pain in his back. Well, damn. Phone. Don't. No. What's going on? Oh, okay. Discord. Glancing over his shoulder, he discovered that one of the foreign syndicate members had crept up and struck him from behind. "Oh no. I've been stabbed." Hitomi screamed. Hitomi screamed. Another man had suddenly appeared, grabbing her by the arms. "Hitomi." Achi tried to reach out to her, but his arm was leaden. His body refused to obey his commands. Oh, God. As the attacker wrenched the knife from his back, Achi felt the blood gushing out of his wound. The two men started to drag Hitomi away. Damn it. He tried to pursue them, but his legs faltered and couldn't find their footing. He was losing blood so fast he was starting to fade from consciousness. Achi could only watch, impotently, as Hitomi was dragged further and further away. I had a feeling, too, the moment we were in the alley, I was like, they're going to say I should have let him be interviewed, aren't they? Because that would have, like, prevented them from entering the alley at that particular time where the people were there. Stabbed by a kidnapper. Achi got stabbed, caught in a surprise attack by one of the kidnappers. He had only watched helplessly as Hitomi was taken away. If that weird guy hadn't tried to talk to him, Achi would never have taken the risk of wandering through the alleys. But how can you keep that guy from wanting to interview Achi? Oh, so it wasn't a matter of having to be, like, put on hold by talking to Minorikawa. It's just don't have Minorikawa talk to him in the first place. Okay. Interesting. That happened early on. Okay, let's go. God, he wants to be Phoenix Wright so bad. Wait a second. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. Gah! Minorikawa stopped and let out a cry of frustration. Daisuke Endo had asked him for a favor after their interview was done. He promised to tell the Wandering Angels that the dry ice machine they'd purchased was defective. Episode 5. At last, the climax of the play drew near. There was a whole string of troubles, but the cast soldiered on, and it looked like things were going to end all right. Then, backstage, Bando noticed that the dry ice machine was acting strangely. Even after it had been turned off, the machine continued to churn out more dry ice. The producer, Tsukuzawa, demanded that the defective device be returned immediately, and so Tezuka, Bando, and Amo loaded it into their vehicle and left the theater. Continued in episode 6. Well, damn. That had completely slipped his mind. If he recalled correctly, the issue was that once the machine started making dry ice, it wouldn't stop. If he ran back to the theater now, he'd lose about 10 minutes. Minorikawa checked his wristwatch. The loan people would be coming by the editing office before too long. He needed to prove to them that next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip was well underway, or else they'd refuse to wait any longer for repayment. And to do that, he needed to fill a minimum of 6 of the 12 remaining blank pages. He couldn't afford to waste even a single second. This was an awkward position to be in. He needed to keep his promise to Endo, but he also needed to spend his time wisely. Guess I don't have a choice. If I have him go to the cafe, that means he'll be like on time and he'll be able to leisurely stop and talk to Achi. And besides, he made a promise. He agreed to take on a responsibility. He headed back for the theater. When he got there, he flagged down the first guy he saw to tell him about the dry ice machine. Hey, make sure you remember what I'm about to tell you, okay? The dry ice machine is broken. The man stared back at him blankly, but Minorikawa just forged ahead. Got it? The dry ice machine is broken. It needs to go back to the electronics store. Make sure you let the folks in charge here know. His obligation met. He hurried back to the cafe to get back to work on his copy. Shit! Unless he's going to see that he's running out of time. Along the way, he caught sight of a young couple running. It seemed like an odd pair. The girl looked prim and proper while the boy struck him as a bit thuggish. In fact, the boy's clothing was very much in the style worn by Shibuya street gangs. Maybe he'd know something about SOS. Hurrying across their path, oh no, Minorikawa called out to the pair. Damn it! Hey, mind if I ask you something? Have you heard of SOS? Pair stopped, eyeing him warily. The young man spoke. Yeah, why do you ask? Do you happen to be a member yourself? No, not anymore. Well, if the kid had once been part of the group, he ought to be able to provide some background anyhow. Minorikawa took a step closer to the couple, formulating his next question. But they didn't stick around to hear it. Let's go, the young man said, and a moment later, he and the girl were running away. Hey! But the pair had paid him no heed. In a moment, they vanished down an alley. The story about SOS will have to wait till later, then. Okay. So we ended on Minorikawa hurried into the cafe. So let's take the alternate path, because I know that that's just going to lead to a bad end on Achi's story. Even though the story continues for Minorikawa. There was nothing he could do about having forgotten. I guess reading the note was also a hint there to let you know that they had already turned it on. Nothing he could do about having forgotten. He hurried on to the cafe. Sorry, Endo. Sorry, Orai. I'm just gonna have to let this one slide. I've got Toyama's life on the line here. He opened the door to the cafe with the practice of a regular. Welcome. The waitress only got that far before her face fell. You again. Hey, hurry up and get me a seat. She grinned wickedly. I'm terribly sorry, sir, but we're all full at the moment. He looked around. All the seats were indeed filled. As you can see, sir. Really now? The waitress's grin widened with triumph. Yes, sir. Fine, I'll just write here. Let me get some power. Jamming his power cable to a nearby outlet, Minorikawa plunked himself right down on the floor and booted up his laptop. The waitress watched in dismay, then turned to stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Just do whatever you want, she muttered vaguely. You know, a person can only get away with being obnoxious for so long. Sooner or later, someone's likely to call the police. Oh. It was him. Minorikawa looked up from his work, startled to see the burning hammer salesman standing over him. You! You're Mr. Yanagashita! Thank you so much for stopping by earlier. Are you going to write your article here? Yanagashita eyed Minorikawa's computer. Ooh, that's the latest model, isn't it? Look, I got no time to talk right now. Minorikawa opened the file with his half-written copy. Ooh, what's this? Chaos App Bogus Weight Loss Drink Sales Demo. Yanagashita read the copy aloud. The organizer, Junichi Yanagashita, didn't merely have a whiff of deceit about him. His breath also stunk. Sound good? Minorikawa asked. I wanted to make sure I gave an accurate impression. Oh, I love what you've done with it. This is a great copy. Fantastic. Yanagashita turned to look at him with a manic grin. Yeah, isn't it? In a flash, Yanagashita's face went from grinning to livid. Like hell it is! You think I'm gonna just let you write something like that? Snatching up the computer, Yanagashita bolted out of the cafe. Hey, get back here! Minorikawa leapt to his feet and rushed off in pursuit. Oh my god. As he sprinted madly along, Yanagashita turned down a narrow alley. Minorikawa stayed close behind, desperate not to lose sight of him. His quarry began to weave his way through the back alleys of Shibuya. This guy clearly knew his way around town. By Miyashita Park, they zipped up onto a pedestrian bridge. Just where the heck was this idiot going? Halfway across the overpass, Yanagashita suddenly stopped. Oh no. Confused, Minorikawa stopped as well. Give that back, he called. The next moment, Yanagashita flashed a mocking grin and dangled the laptop over the railing. Uh-oh. Minorikawa lunged toward him, but it was already too late. The laptop left Yanagashita's hand and went spinning down through the air. And as the two men struggled, Yanagashita himself toppled over the railing. Without hesitating, Minorikawa jumped down as well. Well, they're both dead. Or not? Minorikawa landed hard. As he struggled to regain his breath, he looked around and saw Yanagashita beside him. Incredibly, the laptop was safe in the charlatan's grasp. I thought this was about to be a bad end. Apparently, he'd somehow managed to catch it in midair. Before Minorikawa could be too relieved, however, Yanagashita got to his feet and took off running again. Get back here, you little weasel! I don't think so. This Yanagashita guy was infuriating. That, and he was really fast. Minorikawa considered himself a decent runner, but he couldn't manage to gain on Yanagashita. If running away was a competitive sport, the guy would be a world-class superstar. As he ran along, a peculiar thought occurred to him. Hold on a minute. If he hates my copy that much, shouldn't he have wanted my computer to break? Why'd he go out of his way to catch it like that? It made no sense at all. Hey! Minorikawa shouted between gasping breaths. What are you planning to do with my laptop? Yanagashita glanced back at him. Want to sell it? Sorry about this. What? Minorikawa was taken aback. Consider it compensation for defamation of character. In the civil sense, the act of unlawfully damaging another person's character or reputation in the public eye. In the criminal sense, the act of disseminating damaging facts about an individual to an unspecified large number of people. Come on, get real. It can't be defamation if the article hasn't run yet. They consider it an advance on the compensation. This was so nonsensical it made Minorikawa's head hurt. But now, at least he knew why Yanagashita had dived after the computer. The thief continued to weave his way through the side streets. His speed didn't diminish in the slightest. Damn it, this guy has too much experience running away. Minorikawa's stamina began to fade, and finally he lost sight of his quarry. That didn't mean he was ready to give up the search. There were articles in that computer that were right on the verge of completion. Whatever it took, he had to get it back. Also, it's kind of dumb to sell a laptop without its charger. It's kind of important. You know? And the fact that it hasn't been formatted, but alright. Yanagashita had said he was going to sell it. Where could he be headed then? Not the sales demo. Not Indo Electronics. Probably he was headed to a knickknack shop. Yeah, because that's where we found him in Tama's story. Minorikawa recalled seeing one near the Burning Hammer demo site. He also recalled seeing a poster outside the place that read, "We buy computers at top prices." I didn't notice that, but okay. Or did I? Damn. The guy had led him on a wild goose chase. The shop was surely where he was going to sell a laptop. Gulping a deep breath, he headed in that direction. There you are, Yanagashita! Minorikawa burst into the shop on center guy, the accusing finger pointing squarely at the thief. Listen, there's no way I'm buying a computer that doesn't have a power cable. Details, details. All you sell here is junk anyway. Called it. They're not going to sell some. Yep, called it. Yanagashita and the shopkeeper had gotten into an argument. Minorikawa recognized the shopkeeper. It was the guy he'd run into on the roadside earlier. That computer belongs to me, Minorikawa shouted as he marched up to them. Give it back! Yanagashita clutched the laptop to his chest. Nuh-uh, I need the money. Knock it off, you're acting like a child. Minorikawa tried to slap him out of his tantrum, but Yanagashita ducked to avoid the blow. And then, bizarrely, Yanagashita froze. A fierce gleam came to his eyes. He broke into an incomprehensible stammer. That's it! Yanagashita snatched up a flyer that his gaze had fixed on. Iron stomach, huh? That's right. Here's my little blue bird of happiness, he cried. You know what? You can have this. Yanagashita shoved the laptop in Minorikawa's arms. Ha ha ha! And welcome to it, you idiot! I don't need no worthless computer. You're the idiot, Buster! Minorikawa smacked Yanagashita right across the face. Ouch! Hitting him felt good. He decided to do it again. He drew back his arm to deliver another blow. But then, someone else came into the shop. Yanagashita's eyes lit up as they saw who it was. Oh, my angel! Whatever is my darling Miku doing here? Uh-oh. Ooh, 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 and she was... Yeah, she was flipped by, Maria. What is happening here? Miku stood in the doorway on the verge of tears. Mr. Minorikawa, she began, and her voice choked up. Miku? What's the matter? Is something wrong? Miku drew in close to Minorikawa's side. Huh? Huh? Yanagashita's eyes darted back and forth between Minorikawa and Miku. You two know each other? Wait, who said that? You two know each other? Sort of. More to the point. Is she the girl you said you were in love with? That's right, the one and only Miku. I have her entrance music set as my ringtone. Paying no heed to Yanagashita's excitement, Miku kept her eyes fixed on Minorikawa. I lost to a girl who knows Aiki Jujitsu. I lost! She buried her face in Minorikawa's chest. Yanagashita let out a gasp. What's this about? What in the world is this all about? He seemed on the verge of panic. Mr. Minorikawa, I need to learn Aiki Jujutsu. I feel so ashamed. She buried her face even deeper into Minorikawa's chest. That's so unfair! With tears in his eyes, Yanagashita darted out the door. Minorikawa glared after the pathetic fellow as he scampered off. The guy sure knows how to take advantage of a bad situation, I'll give him that, he murmured. Did he leave the laptop there? I can't see. So he's just mad that, like, Miku was hugging Minorikawa. Like, okay. If he gets captured, though, he'll meet up with Maria. We can't have that. Anyhow, I'm just glad I got my partner back. Ordinarily, he'd be inclined to pursue Yanagashita and subject him to a tirade, at the very least, but there was no time for that now. He explained the situation to the shopkeeper, who flashed a sympathetic smile. Ah, is that so? Lucky for you, he's screwed up then. Much as I'm happy to do business, I just can't buy a computer that doesn't come with its accessories. So you'd have brought it from him if he had the accessories? Of course. Stolen or not, it's all the same once I've sold it. Oh my god. The shopkeeper chuckled, unapologetically. Ice cream truck outside. Do I want ice cream? Oh, it's already past now. Heh, I suppose that's true. Minorikawa laughed along with them. Yeah, all the same. Like hell it is! He roared. I said that a little too loud. Sorry. The shopkeeper froze like a startled rabbit. I bet everything you have for sale here has been stolen, hasn't it? Don't be ridiculous. I'll warn you up front, there's no use hiding things from me. I've interviewed you, after all. I know you. Shopkeeper was getting more and more flustered. Well, I mean... Look, this is between you and me, okay? Sometimes I go around gathering stuff that people have lost and I sell it here. But it's not stolen, just repurposed. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The shopkeeper smiled ingratiatingly. You moron! Minorikawa stuck his finger in the man's face. Selling lost property is a serious crime, too! Get him, Miku! Potential violation of Article 254 of the Penal Code of Japan regarding embezzlement of lost property, which states, a person who embezzles lost property, drift property, or any other property which belongs to another person and is in no one's possession, shall be punished by imprisonment with work for not more than 1 year, a fine of not more than 100,000 yen, or a petty fine. It is? I mean, I guess I sort of figured it might be, sometimes. Well, I'm not the police. I'm more into curiosity than legality. In fact, I find this all pretty fascinating. I mean, what sort of things have you gathered up for sale? Well, let me see. Like this and that and that and that. The man pointed to various items on the shelves. And also this and that and that. Oh, and that, I guess. Minorikawa's eyes were directed all over the shop. Everything the shopkeeper had pointed out had a hefty price tag. You're actually able to sell things like this? Minorikawa asked. Sure, I can sell stuff. Earlier today, someone bought a big necklace. I had listed it for 40,000 yen, but I discounted down to 30,000. And you can still make a profit even offering discounts? Sure, I mean, it was just something I found lying on the ground, after all. Ha ha ha. Minorikawa looked back at him, and for a moment he laughed as well. Then his face turned hard. This is no laughing matter, he bellowed. You need to stop what you're doing here right away. Otherwise, you're going to find out what it's like to get punished by my pen of justice. I'm so sorry. The shopkeeper bowed repeatedly. Kick his ass, Miku. Minorikawa glared. The truth was that right now he was so busy he'd have to let this guy slide. Still, this whole asinine affair had eaten up a big chunk of time he didn't have to waste. Then again, that's a quick page right there, my dude. He was going to have to finish up his copy back at the editing office. Laptop in hand, he left the shop, only to stop short when a slight figure stepped out in front of him. Mr. Minorikawa. Miku stood there, barring his path. Please introduce me to a dojo where I can learn Aiki Jujutsu. I'm sorry. I really don't have time for this right now. Minorikawa tried to hurry onward, but she stubbornly refused to let him pass. You introduced me to that other dojo before, remember? I suppose so, now that you mention it. He tried to slip by her on her right-hand side, but she was quick to block him. Oh, she's crying. You're the one who introduced me to the world of martial arts, Mr. Minorikawa. Well, yes, you know you're putting me in a bit of a bind here. Trying to slip by on her left was a no-go, too. She could anticipate his every move. Please, just hear me out, Miku said. She was speaking through quiet sobs now. I can't stand to leave things like this. She looked Minorikawa right in the eye. I don't know what to say. She already retired from the Fight Club. And he has a knack for doing, like, uplifting speeches. This is a good opportunity for you. You can find something to do with yourself that isn't martial arts. What? You were the champion at that one pub, right? Maybe now that you're done with that, you should find a more girlish line of work instead. Miku began to tremble. Yeah, that was not the right thing to say. You jerk! Miku delivered a blindly fast slap to Minorikawa's cheek. Why'd you have to put it like that? You're so mean. I didn't think he would have said what he said there. I thought he would have been more uplifting. Bursting into tears, Miku ran off. Hey, Miku! She gave no sign she'd heard him and didn't turn around. Minorikawa rubbed his cheek. It stung. For once, he actually regretted what he'd said. Maybe he shouldn't have assumed she'd be willing to just give up her hobby. But she did! Okay, he did in fact know of several Aiki Jujutsu dojos. Why didn't you say that earlier? If only he had the time, he could have introduced her easily enough. Checking his watch, he saw that he only had 30 minutes and change until 4 o'clock. There was no more wiggle room at this point. These articles needed to get written, and fast. He needed to get back to the editing department. And yet... Oh, damn it all to hell, I can't get work done like this! Minorikawa broke into a run. But he didn't run for Heaven Publishing. Instead, he went after Miku. Wait, that was the right thing? But wow, he actually does have a heart. I'm stunned. Okay. So Maria won't run into Yanagashita. We cleared that. And they won't run into Minorikawa. We cleared that. Oh, I should have did the timeline. Dang, we starting back here? Alright. Oh, wait, I passed by. Just who am I? I ask myself again and again. I am. Tama! I am... Tama Hitomi? Hitomi, no. Because Yanagashita's gonna run into her here. Tama? I turn at the sound of an exuberant voice and see Mr. Yanagashita running my way, flinging his arm in a friendly greeting. I swear, this guy can wind up banished to the pits of hell and he'd still give it his all, day in and day out. Oh, thank goodness! It is you, Tama! I knew it! The man with the cane grumbles something incoherent, then holsters his gun and flees the scene. Oh, but he's not gonna tell her about the "you'll hate me" thing with this. Yeah, she's gonna miss, like, everything that happened past that. Like, don't go to the police. You're going to hate me once you get your memory back. Alright. Huh? Now you with some middle-aged guy. You look so sweet and innocent, but I guess you kind of get around, huh? Boss, nice timing. I do a little fist pump. Whatever he's doing here, I'm glad he drove off that guy with the gun. Huh? What are you so happy about? Yanagashita gives me a puzzled look. But he's promptly distracted by his own excitement. Wait, what time is it? Dang, really? 3:20? You were just sitting there thinking for that long? Well, anyway, never mind that, Tama. He shifts down to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I was in such a tizzy over some silly scratch card from a magazine. I can tell he has news he's itching to tell me. Did something happen? Well, he brings a hand to his mouth and giggles unsettlingly. God, I know how to read. I had a great little idea. A great way to strike it rich. I Feel like I've heard this from you before. Mr. Yanagashita shakes his head fervently. This time it's different. We're talking way more digits than before. Now, try not to be too surprised yet. Spittle flies from his mouth as he rattles on. Or, it's okay to be surprised, actually. In fact, I'm guessing you're definitely going to be amazed this time, Tama. I can practically see the banknotes dancing in his eyes. Cut to the chase already. What is it you want to tell me? This time, get this, I got a lot on 10 million yen. He thrusts his index finger skyward, grinning ear to ear. Surprised now? Yeah, you are. And it doesn't require any capital. It's no risk, high return. In the world of equity investment, a wise investor weighs risk against the potential for return. Many heavily risky projects, however, yield little in the way of actual returns. Such cases are called high risk, low return. The inverse, low risk, high return, is quite rare. The idea of no risk, high return is simply absurd. There's a crazy gleam in his eye. Oh man, I'm finally going to get to be part of the Billionaires Club. This is so ridiculous that I don't even have a snappy retort for it. Never mind that 10 million obviously wouldn't make him a billionaire. By the way, you haven't seen Cherry, have you? We're going to need her help to wrap up this 10 million yen. Cherry? No, I haven't run into her since the sales demo. Oh darn. Well, if you do happen to see her, tell her to get in touch with me. Sure. Alright. I still don't know what's going on, or what he's going on about, but there's probably no harm in being helpful. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention way back at the beginning of the thing. Sasayama got stabbed. That is Kano's friend, right? He got stabbed when they were trying to catch Al Karawan. So yeah, he might be dead. Hopefully not. Thank you, Tama. Guess I may as well give you a little hint. A hint? Yeah, a hint. Want to hear it? Sure. Thank you. Well, then, I guess I've got no choice. When you put it that way, I just have to tell you. Mr. Yanagashita clears his throat and proceeds to declaim in an affected tone. Oh my god. When the mighty stomach triumphs over the endless cavalcade of icebergs, the hero shall be blessed with fame and fortune. Huh? What the heck is that supposed to mean? He looks inordinately amused at my confusion. Oh my god, it's like one of those school pictures. With the face in the background, like the graduation photos. Oh my god, okay. You only need to remember... Oh, blah, blah. It's part of a legend. You only need to remember that one verse for now. You're going to bear witness to history. I feel like this guy is right out of some kind of story himself. Anyway, thanks for helping me out with the cherry thing. Adios. Spanish for goodbye. The true meaning is closer to the English farewell. In day-to-day interactions, most Spanish speakers use the word ciao. Adios can carry the connotation that you do not expect to see the addressee again. Ooh. And then, like a whirlwind, Mr. Yanagashita zooms away, leaving me alone in the alley. Well, I did not know that. So, Spanish people use ciao? I thought that was Italian. Well, no. Arrivederci is how you say goodbye in Italian. So, ciao gets its basis in Spanish? Wait, no. Genuinely curious now. Yeah, I'm looking this up. No, not the ciao. Yeah, ciao is Italian. So, it's been picked up in the Spanish language? I mean, I know they're all like part of the same little like family or descended from the same family. Still, that's interesting. Well, I guess it's also similar to like how hello is a greeting in German, like HALLO. Granted, I mean, it's not exactly like hello in English, but it's close enough. Though, what came first? Hello or... hello. But yeah, I mean, it's not unheard of for different languages to pick up, like, actual words from other ones, but for Spanish to pick up an Italian word just seems weird, unless... I'm sorry, I'm looking up one more thing here. What countries border Italy? So the Italian border, like, it touches Austria, France, Slovenia, and Switzerland. What? Oh, no. That's just the short version. Italy has 6 land neighbors: Austria, France, San Marino, Slovenia, Switzerland, and Vatican City. So it doesn't even border Spain. How did it... I guess the Vatican could be the common denominator there? Vatican City? I'm putting way too much thought into this, but it's just weird to me that Chow will be picked up by Spanish speakers. I'm genuine. Okay, whatever. I'm thinking about that way too much. Phew. Suddenly I feel totally exhausted. I let out a sigh and dropped my eyes, and that's when I noticed a notebook on the ground at my feet. Did the assassin drop this? I pick it up and look inside. There's a photograph tucked inside the back cover. It shows 3 young people, 2 boys and a girl. That's going to be important. What is this phone? Okay. Well, what do I do now? Do I go to the police? How would I even explain the situation? I can see it now. There's this killer out there and he's after this person named Hitomi Osawa. Then the police would be like, who is that? And who exactly is after her? And then what would I say? Heck, they might not even give me the time of day in the first place. Not only do I not have any idea who Hitomi Osawa is, I know nothing about the guy who's after her, except that he walks with a cane. I mean, I can't even tell them who I am. They'd probably shoo me away without a second thought. Well, they would be shocked as hell to see you walk in. What am I supposed to do? I hang my head at a total loss. The necklace around my neck sways idly to and fro. The GPS is in the necklace. That's why she recognized it. That has to be it. The GPS has to be in the necklace. But she's at a keep out now. So we're at 2 keep outs. Just checking. Yeah, she's at the 2:30 mark. Now they're not going to be stopped by Minorikawa. Kano is starting at 3:10. Minorikawa is at a keep out. Osawa's starting at 3:30? What is this chapter? Anyway, we need to go to the surveillance room. Destination turn, look back and tell me it's on a little bit further now. Do you want to walk? I'll be alright. Achi, look out! Looking ahead again, Achi saw that they were bearing down on a young grade school girl. Her head hung in dismay. Is it Hana? Achi, hurriedly caught the girl up in his arms? Achi hurriedly caught the girl up in his arms. Maneuver kept her out of harm's way, but the momentum swung her high into the air. She dropped a sheaf of papers she was carrying. As luck would have it, the papers fell amidst the trash scattered alongside the road. Whoops, sorry. Achi stopped to gather up the sheets of paper, noting that each was adorned with some sort of writing. Here, looks like they got kind of messed up though. Pages had landed in some kind of spilled liquid. Oh no, most of them had gotten stained. It's alright, the girl said gloomily. You should just throw them away. It's not like I can sell them now anyway. You're going to sell them? Hitomi asked. We're sorry. Do you think you'll be able to redo them? Achi is... Oh wait. We're sorry. Do you think you'll be able to redo them? Achi, is there a stationery store around here? Yeah. Up at the top of Dogenzaka, Achi said. Here. He took a $5,000 yen note. $5,000 yen? What the... I apologize. He took a 5,000 yen note from his wallet and offered it to the girl. To buy new paper. I know I can't replace the stuff you wrote, but... The girl eyed the money doubtfully. But... It's fine. Go ahead and take it. Thank you very much. The little girl spoke with surprising formality, but she turned and headed up Dogenzaka. I don't think that's Hana. I don't know, I could be wrong. Achi gathered up the trash and tossed it into a garbage bin before he and Hitomi continued on their way. Achi led Hitomi to an old multi-tenant building. He hurried inside and headed up the stairs. Behind the reception window on the second floor sat the custodian, sleeping on the job. Yukinori Kitajima. His main job is overseeing the monitoring room for the local surveillance cameras, but on the side he also works as a novelist and game scenario writer. He often sleeps on the job during his free time, but sometimes while he's asleep he gets his writing done. Just recently a certain game was released set in Shibuya, but since he wrote the scenario and emailed it to the game company while he was asleep, he didn't know about it until just the other day. Hey, wake up, man! Achi gave the window a tap, and the man woke with a start. Huh? Achi-chi? Don't scare me like that. That's one chi too many. And wow, you sure seem to have a lot of free time on your hands. Yeah, no one's been by to check today. But that's not so bad, right? I mean, I guess it is the surveillance room, but still. The man let out a big yawn. My dad asked me to come down here and check out the security monitors, actually, Achi said. Sorry to bother you when you're busy. Oh, sorry to bother you when you're busy, Hitomi added with a polite bow. Huh? Who are you? You with Achi-chi? I'm Hitomi Osawa. It's nice to meet you. Oh, what? You Achi-chi's girlfriend? Again, too many cheese there, and that's none of your business. Just let me have the key. Hoping his blush wasn't too obvious, Achi mimed unlocking a door. You won't answer a simple question and you want me to hand over the key? Yes, I'm his girlfriend, Hitomi said. We've just started dating. So I'm sure I'll be seeing more of you, sir. She flashed a winning smile. Oh, well, what a surprise. Never thought Achi-chi could land a fine lady like yourself. The surprised custodian held out the key. Good for you, Achi-chi. Still one chi too many there. But yeah, dating. Achi gazed into Tomi's face, even more surprised than the custodian. The key dangled, swaying to and fro like a pendulum between Achi and the man behind the counter. Achi, Hitomi said, nudging him in the side with her elbow. Come on. Oh, right. Snapping out of it, Achi took the key and headed up to the next floor. Oh my god. I'm sorry, Hitomi said as they entered the monitoring room. For just saying we were dating like that, I mean. It was a pretty clumsy lie. No, it was just kind of sudden, is all. I was just a bit jittery, I guess. Achi felt his cheeks color again. I mean, I figured I had to say something or he wasn't going to cooperate, Hitomi said. She looked a little embarrassed herself. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make things weird. No, Achi said. Nah, it wasn't weird at all. Actually, it was kind of... He stopped himself there. Now wasn't the time for that sort of conversation. They needed to find that blue minivan. If I get a keep out, I swear to God. Okay. The surveillance camera monitoring room was really just a big office with a single computer. Achi knew it well. So this is the monitoring system, he explained. He switched on the computer. You can see all of downtown Shibuya from this one computer. This frickin' Dell Optiplex 980. Hitomi gazed impatiently at the monitor, even though it wasn't showing anything yet. A look of sheer determination on her face held Achi enthralled. You talk about how attractive your sister is, Achi murmured. But as far as I'm concerned, right now you're the lovely one, Hitomi. Oh my god. Hitomi looked at him uncertain. I mean, look at the lengths you're going and the risk you're taking to save your sister, Achi said. I can't bear the thought that something might happen to her, and the last time we were together I said such horrible things. Plenty of people do bad things without even realizing they're bad, never mind trying to fix it. I'm just doing what I think is right. Yeah, but these days most people don't do the right thing. Heck, if they did, Shibuya wouldn't be covered in trash like it is. Me, I appreciate when someone really cares about the things that are important. Doing the right thing is a matter of course. That's very attractive. Achi blushed as he said it, and Hitomi shyly looked away. I think the system is ready. Turning to the computer, Achi hastily changed the subject. This thing's so simple, even I know how to use it. Clicking on the mouse, he brought up a row of 4 windows on the monitor. Each window showed a different view of the Shibuya cityscape. The image quality is not great, but that's because it's being updated on a 2-second delay, I guess. There's only 4 cameras. Achi tapped on the keyboard, bringing up shots at different locations. He clicked on one of them in order to enlarge the image. Maybe we really can find that minivan with this. Tommy was practically glued to the screen. My dad's the one who designed the security system. Your dad must be pretty amazing. Well, he graduated top of his class at Tokyo Denko University, a prestigious national university founded over a century ago. Applicants who place highly on the entrance exam can receive a full scholarship. Achi's father was one such attendee. The school has supported extensive research into artificial intelligence and recently announced an AI program known as Body. While the computer is asleep, different personalities emerge, which have an impact on various normal thought processes, forming a network of more human-like thought patterns as a result. Is this Hope Speak Academy and they have Chihiro there? What? He always said he could have had a career in computer engineering, but he took over the electronics shop so that he could marry my mother instead. That's such a sweet story. Do they run the store together then? Achi shook his head. No, my mother died when I was 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Hitomi sounded even sadder than Achi. Well, anyway, never mind that. Here, look. The seedy-looking weirdo they'd run into at Gigo was on the screen. Huh? That guy again. Said weirdo was running all out, a laptop computer under one arm. He was being chased by a man in a long coat. That guy sure gets chased around a lot, huh? Achi said. When the weirdo slipped out of view, Achi switched to another camera. The new view showed the weirdo running again. By hopping from camera to camera, they could track him wherever he went. So long as we have these cameras, Achi said, this guy has nowhere to run. Nowhere to run, huh? The moment he said those words, they struck an odd chord in his mind. He remembered the repeated run-ins with the man with the cane, how the assassin had seemed always to know where to find them. Achi, please, Hitomi urged. Stop messing around and let's look for the minivan. Why would he suggest keeping an eye on Yanagashita? Let's go with the second option. Alright, my bad. Achi switched over to a different camera. continued switching views, scanning the streets of Shibuya, but there was no sign of a blue minivan anywhere. Still, they remained glued to the monitor. Oh, that's me! Hitomi took out her cell phone. It's an email from Mr. Tanaka. Oh no. Ah, okay. Yeah, it was about time for my mood to take a dip, Achi thought. What? Hitomi blurted. She looked up from her phone. Achi, Mr. Tanaka found the minivan. He what? What does he say? Read it to me. Okay. I ran after it, but wound up losing sight of it. It was heading toward Jinin. That's what he says. What about your sister? I can't jump. Alright, fine. Was she inside? He doesn't say. Achi switched over to an array of surveillance cameras near Jinin. The few seconds the transition took felt agonizingly slow. Finally, 4 new images popped up. Achi quickly enlarged one of them. Ah! Hitomi let out a tiny gasp. There on the monitor was the blue minivan. There was no doubt about it. Achi and Hitomi rushed from the building, speeding toward Jinin in an all-out run. Run, Achi! Run, Hitomi! Run, other guy who's looking for Miku! Well, I guess that's how we're gonna get to Minorikawa right here. Why couldn't I jump to Maria? Or did I already pass that point in time? Running along Koendori in pursuit of Miku, Minorikawa heard a cell phone ringtone coming from somewhere nearby. Oh my god! Live action? What? Wait! What? Suddenly a massive fiery blast knocked him from his feet. A deafening roar set his head throbbing. What was that? What's going on? He lay in a daze on the ground, trying to wrap his mind around what had just happened. He smelled the foul scent of burning rubber. Then came a sound of quick footsteps rushing up to him. Mr. Minorikawa! A voice called out to him, as if across an impossible distance. Mr. Minorikawa! Was that Miku? He forced his eyes open and saw Miku looking anxiously down at him. Mr. Minorikawa! Miku. Those things I said earlier. I'm sorry. I went too far. What are you talking about? That's not important right now. Miku choked back a gasp, and Minorikawa realized he had blood leaking from his mouth. Oh no. Please don't die. Ah, fuck. His body wouldn't move, and his mind was reeling. What? What happened? Tell me. Miku's voice was dry and hoarse. There was a minivan. It exploded. Exploded? Minivan exploded on a city street? That sounded like a terrorist act. His reeling mind drifted back to the attempted bioterrorist attack on Kasumigaseki 2 years earlier. An unoccupied minivan had exploded outside an MPD station, and afterward a device meant to scatter a dangerous biological agent had been discovered near the subway. With sudden clarity, Minorikawa recalled what Osawa had said earlier. The power balance of the entire world might be at stake here. Could there be some sort of connection between Osawa's warning and this explosion? There was. There had to be. Minorikawa's journalistic intuition told him it must be true. Something terrible was underway here in Shibuya. Police! A man in a suit announced. He crouched beside Minorikawa and gently lifted his head and torso. Kano? Hang in there, buddy. Stay with us. The change of position allowed Minorikawa to clear his airway, and he sucked in a deep breath. But as he did, an intense pain shot through his lungs. I think I might be done for. Whatever his intuition might be telling him, it didn't look like he'd ever be able to write about it. But if he couldn't get his words out onto the page, the least he could do was tell someone else. With his last act, maybe he could still accomplish something. He strained to get a few words out. Osawa. Kenji Osawa. The power balance of the entire world. As his voice failed, he heard the sound of ambulance sirens approaching. Paramedics began frantically unloading stretchers. Turning his head, he saw a number of other people who'd been injured in the explosion laid out on the roadside. Amongst them were a woman and a child. Emergency workers bearing a stretcher came over to Minorikawa. Forget about me. I'm beyond helping. See to the others instead. Minorikawa shouted inwardly, but no one heard. Okay, well that's definitely a bad end. So I guess don't have him... See, the fact that they gave me a keep out had me thinking I was on the right track, but oh... Okay, don't have Miku run off, I guess. Premonition of disaster. Minorikawa chased Miku as far as Koendori, only to be caught in the blast when a minivan suddenly exploded. A few simple words can change his fate. Someone who shouts something at 3:30 needs to change what it is they shout. If Minorikawa hears something that grabs his attention, he may not get too close to the explosion. So I was on the right track, but someone needs to shout something at 3:30 that distracts him. Okay. And then at 3:25, they wouldn't let me switch over to Maria. I just need a refresher. But there's no keep out. Wait, no, yeah, there was a keep out, but it... Well, let's just continue along with them past the jump point. Okay. Neither spoke, they simply dashed along in silence. Achi felt as if they'd been running a marathon and the finish line had finally come into view. They hooked a left at the station and darted past the Seibu department store. Aha! Achi pointed as he came to a stop. The blue minivan was still there, parked by the curb along the slight hilly incline. Leaving Achi behind, Hitomi started rushing up the hill. Alarm bells started going off in Achi's mind. Someone from the kidnapping crew was in that van. It was dangerous to approach carelessly. Change what somebody yells. Stay back, don't get too close. Achi shouted. But she didn't appear to hear his cries. The hope of rescuing her sister had driven all else from her mind. Achi started to run after her. Hitomi reached the vehicle already. She brought her face close to one of its windows, but the tinted glass obscured the view inside. Hitomi circled around to the minivan's other side. Achi saw her grasping at the door. Oh, and that was her ringtone, and that's what Minorikawa heard, and then there was a bomb set in there. Okay. She slipped out of his view for just a moment. What was that CG on the van? But I mean, still, I should not be thinking about that, considering some people just fucking died. There was a thunderous explosion, and a gout of flame tore the roof off the minivan like it was made of aluminum foil. Hitomi! Horrified, Achi charged through roiling smoke, searching for Hitomi. He saw two figures sprawled on the street, several meters from the van. Hitomi and Kanan. Hitomi, wake up! Achi cradled her in his arms, and her eyes drifted open faintly. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Hitomi didn't appear to understand him. Her only response was a blank, dazed look. There was a small patch of red on her face. Achi wiped it gently away with a finger. He saw no further signs of bleeding. She must have been splattered by someone else's blood then. As far as he could tell, she hadn't been gravely injured. Achi let out a sigh of relief. Hitomi, is she alright? Kanan stirred on the ground. Her clothes were scorched in places and she was bleeding from her head. Kanan, did you save her? Is she alright? Yeah. What about her sister? Kanan didn't respond. No, it can't be. Achi went to look inside the van. Amidst the smoke and the flames, he could make out the outline of a body. What happened here? Achi had to look away. Get Hitomi out of here. Hurry. If those guys show back up. Kanan's face twisted up with pain. Alright. Achi settled Hitomi carefully in his arms. Wait, I need to tell you something. Kanan's pained gasp called him back. Okay, that was Kanan, not him. For a minute, I thought that said Alpha Rad. I'm like, what does he have to do with this game? Alphard. Huh? Alphard. That's the name of the mastermind. I'm sure it'll come up again if you keep pursuing this. But if you value your life, don't get involved with Alphard any further. Now go. Okay, and thanks. I'm going back. Because I think I should have said her name to get her attention. Hitomi, wait! Achi shouted. But she didn't appear to hear his cries. Hope of rescuing her sister had driven all else from her mind. So, it's gonna be the same no matter what? Yeah, these are the exact... This is the same scene. No, wait, no. Because I didn't even think to look back at Minorikawa. Because if he hears stay back, don't get too close. Okay, yeah, give me a moment here. Because my reasoning is, no matter what choice you choose, this seems like it's going to play out no matter what. For Achi's story. Because I didn't get to this point when I switched to Minorikawa, there was no shout. So now I just have to be careful about what I pick that gets shouted. Oh man, but it could go either way! Because if he hears Hitomi, he's going to be like, wait a minute, Hitomi, I was trying to interview them, or her, and... this... Okay, I might have to play through this again. But let me just get through this then and just see where Achi's story goes. Alphard. What kind of name? Unless it's a moniker. Oh well. With Hitomi in his arms, Achi hurried from the scene. He wasn't sure where he was heading. He just wanted to get away, wherever that meant. He carried her past a crowd of onlookers that had swiftly begun to assemble. The flames of the burning van rose ever higher, roaring up toward the heavens. To be continued. Oh shit. Alright, well, that was... Huh. This is a short chapter then. Because was it Osawa's that doesn't even start until like halfway in? Yeah. I mean, I guess that leaves Kano. Does your timeline change up any? Still a bad end. Unless it isn't Achi. Because Kano shows up at that point as well. It could be something that he screams. And quite frankly, I don't know what Osawa is even doing at this point. Let's just go here first. Kano practically dived from the car when it arrived on the scene in Maruyamacho. The place was teeming with officers and onlookers alike. Out of the way! Please move aside! Kano forced his way through the throng. Sasayama was lying in a massive pool of blood. Sasayama! Kano rushed to his partner's side. The knife was still embedded deep in Sasayama's belly. His handle shuddered each time he drew a labored breath. Guess I messed up. Sasayama could only manage a raspy murmur. Please don't try to talk, Kano urged. Looks like I won't be celebrating the missus's birthday. Sasayama drew a small package from his pocket. It had been neatly wrapped and fitted with a pretty little ribbon. Here, give this to Mi-chan for me. Kano shook his head. No way. You can give it to her yourself. You've never met Mi-chan, huh? She's real pretty. Probably surprised how pretty she... I know. You've told me all about her. Kano, please. Give this to my wife for me. Mustering up the last of his strength, Sasayama pressed the gift into Kano's hand. Sasayama? Sasayama's hand dropped back down into the puddle of blood. The paramedic team finally arrived at the scene. It took them that fucking long? Oh my god, phone, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm pretty sure the stabbing happened at like 2:50, 2:55. Kano arrived before the ambulance, and I'm sure the people monitoring the situation, like, called an ambulance team, like, right off the bat. And then they get there at 3:15? Okay. Alright. Sasayama was loaded into the ambulance. Kano felt a surge of rage roiling inside him. Clenching his fist so hard his nails dug into his palm, he marched over to the captive Alcarawan. You son of a bitch! He wound up for a punch to Alcarawan's face, only to have his arm caught forcibly by the elbow. Spinning his head around, he found Stanley standing there. Let go of me, Stanley. But the American held a grip of steel, and Kano's arm wouldn't budge. They allow you to assault suspects here in Japan, do they? Well, I mean, you should know about that, Stanley, considering where you're from. Just saying. Kano bit his lip and then lowered his shaking fist. No, of course not, he growled. Alcarawan let out a nasal chuckle as he watched the pair. With a cold glare, Stanley strode over to him. He leaned in close to whisper something, and all at once the blood drained from Alcarawan's face. Visibly shaken, Alcarawan said something back to Stanley. Stanley gave a slight nod, then left the captive with the police escort. Kano went over to him. Hey, what was that all about? Apparently, Alcarawan gave Hitomi some instructions. Told her to get into a blue minivan that was parked along Dogenzaka. So Stanley's hunch had been correct. But why had Alcarawan confessed so quickly? How'd you get him to talk? You don't need to know that. Turning on his heel, Stanley went to report the news about the blue van to the task force. Kuze immediately directed the detectives nearest Dogenzaka to look into it, but they found no blue minivan in the area. The order then came down for all personnel to search for the vehicle. Kano thought back to another item in the Dick diary. Oh, it's back! It's back! Dick Dictum number 14. Use the dead as a stepping stone, but be sure to die a stepping stone yourself. That's actually fucking deep. Like, wow. Okay. Like, as in, you know, look at the sacrifices made by the dead and use that to guide you, but you should also serve as a guide for the people that will come after you. Yeah. In the abstract, Kano could appreciate the nobility of self-sacrifice. But when he thought of Sasayama's blood-stained figure, it wasn't so easy to keep his emotions in check. I wasn't thinking of that in the self-sacrifice sense, just use lessons passed down and then use those lessons and your own experiences to create lessons for those after you. It's a little more noble. First time you ever seen a fellow officer get hurt? Stanley had come back over to him. We don't have time to relax. If you can't keep your anger in, then do something about it, here and now. Stanley pointed to his own jaw. Hit me, American style. Kano smiled wryly at the unexpected proposal. No, we're not here to, like, self-pity. And you're not gonna keep in your anger. Throw a punch. Without a word, Kano threw a punch. Stanley soaked up the rage-fueled blow, his face a mask of calm. Kano felt all the more miserable in the face of such unflinching resolve. If it weren't such a bumbling clod, Sasayama would never have... Hey, don't blame yourself, Stanley said. You guys have been doing better than I expected. More sarcasm, huh? Stanley's mouth curled up sheepishly and he held his hands wide. Kuze's voice suddenly cut in over the wireless. We've located the blue minivan. It's in Jinin 1 Chome on Koendori. Hitomi might be there. And maybe the kidnapper's ringleader would turn up too. On pure reflex, Kano broke into a run. Stanley followed close behind. They sped through the back streets, making their way toward Koendori. Kano was a pretty fast runner, but Stanley kept up with him without apparent difficulty. Were you in the Army or something? No, the Marines. United States Marine Corps, a rapid deployment force specializing... I just had to make sure something was going on in OBS. Specializing in amphibious landing operations, an independent branch of the armed forces, along with the Army, Navy, and Air Force. The Marines' motto is Semper Fidelis, Latin for always faithful. Also, like, the Marines, they are not to be fucked with. Like, them in the Navy, you do not fuck with, like, a Marine or a Navy SEAL. They will fuck you up, due to all the training they do. It wasn't much further to Koendori. Kano, if we find that van, don't get too close, Stanley warned. It could be a trap. Those people will do anything to carry out their goals. They're missing... They're missing some quotation marks there, but alright. Anything, huh? Kano could sense the truth of Stanley's words. He reminded himself that his life could depend on remembering them. He raised his eyes. They were coming up on Koendori. Suddenly a boom as loud as cannon fire shook the area. Something's wrong, Kano thought. That's no ordinary city noise. A column of black smoke rose up from between two nearby buildings. These tracking shots are... Wow. Passersby stopped and stared, gasping in alarm. my god, this is... The FMV is so good. More of this, please. Oh, it's so good. Then Kano saw flames. This hadn't been an accident. Someone had set off an explosion. Several people were on the ground nearby, evidently injured by the detonation. Mr. Minorikawa! Mr. Minorikawa! The high school-aged girl was crying, clinging tightly to a man who'd been caught in the blast. Kano recognized her as the girl he talked to earlier during the traffic jam. The man looked like he might still be alive. Kano hurried over to them. "Police!" he announced. Nope. Blood was streaming from the man's mouth. He clearly suffered some internal damage. "Hang in there, buddy," Kano told him. "Stay with us." The man's face twisted up in pain, but somehow he managed to croak out a few words. Kano let out a gasp. The man's voice was almost too weak to hear, but what he said still shook Kano the core. This man knew something important. Something crucial to the investigation. Rescue vehicles arrived on the scene. The wounded man was promptly loaded onto a stretcher. He was placed inside the ambulance. Kano flashed his badge to the paramedics and got in alongside him. The man had already fallen unconscious. Kano didn't know when he'd wake back up, but he knew he needed to hear what the guy had to say. He sensed that this stranger was the key to unlocking the entire case. But though Kano kept a lonely vigil, the man never woke up again. The antiviral that had been given to Hitomi, the blue minivan Al-Karawan told Hitomi to look for, and now the minivan exploding. Kano was sure this man had known how all of these tied together. But now the key to solving the case was gone for good. Okay, stop, don't get too close isn't what I should scream there. With Achi, I need to scream, "Hitomi, look out." Kano tried to get information from a man who was caught in the explosion, Minorikawa, but he arrived too late. If Minorikawa hadn't been caught in the blast, things would have gone differently for Kano. At 3:30, somebody shouts something, and depending on what they shout, both Kano's and Minorikawa's fates may change. Ooh, that's going to change a lot. That's going to be some, like, epic butterfly effect shit. But okay. Let's go back to Achi. This is a really short chapter. Holy crap. And we can't go on to 4 yet. Okay. Because, yeah, when Minorikawa has tunnel vision, saying something related to one of the stories he was trying to solve would probably be best. I don't think anything here is going to change, but I'll still go through until the save happens. Okay, so literally nothing changed on Achi's story, so yeah, it is just probably yelling Hitomi, stop. And now we can go back to... But why did it stop for Maria? Because they wouldn't let me jump back to her now that I think about it, but... we can explore that in a little while, but right now... Yep, his bad end is gone. So I did just yell the wrong thing. Alright. Fair enough, fair enough. Hitomi, wait! As he ran along Koendori after Miku, Minorikawa heard someone shout out a familiar name. Hitomi? It's a pretty common name. Ordinarily, he wouldn't have given it a second thought, but he remembered that one of the Miss Midoriyama winners was named Hitomi Osawa. That made him curious. A moment later, he heard a cell phone ringtone. He immediately recognized it as an Ayakamiki song. His reporter's instincts tingled. He stopped to take a look around, and one young woman caught his eye almost immediately. He couldn't assume that any pretty girl he saw was Miss Midoriyama. After all, it'd be a little too convenient if you just so happened to run into her now. Well, about that. Still, it didn't cost him anything to ask, "Are you Hitomi Osawa?" Might as well at least check. But to his own surprise, he hesitated in embarrassment. He'd never been too embarrassed to ask a question before. He didn't get a chance to contemplate that realization. A massive fiery blast knocked him from his feet. A deafening roar set his head throbbing. What was that? What's going on? He lay in a daze on the ground, trying to wrap his mind around what had just happened. Behind him there was a minivan, fiercely ablaze. A minivan? An explosion? The first thing to pop into his mind was the attempted bioterrorist attack on Kasumigaseki 2 years ago. An unoccupied minivan had exploded outside an MPD station, and afterward a device meant to scatter dangerous biological agent had been discovered near the subway. In the end, no one had been harmed, but there were rumors that the government had paid a terrorist organization a hefty sum to keep it that way. Right now, Minorikawa was a stone's throw from the Shibuya precinct. Could this be a repeat of the Kasumigaseki attack? I was probably butchering that. Whatever. The entire area was in an uproar. People were running around in panic. Minorikawa could see several injured people lying on the ground, unmoving. Yet, despite the gravity of the situation, numerous onlookers were casually taking photos with their cell phones. Yep, that sounds real. No sarcasm here. That legitimately sounds like something that would happen. Minorikawa got to his feet, then went to try to get everyone away from the scene of the explosion. Hey, you guys! Get back! There could be another bomb! Minorikawa looked around as he pushed back the crowd. He was getting the strong whiff of a scoop. Oh my god. He needed to write his copy ASAP, but he couldn't just turn his back on this situation now. 2 young men were strolling toward the burning vehicle. They had the look of juvenile delinquents. Whoa, what the heck is this, for real? Ain't this dangerous, like, for serious? The pair tried to find an optimal vantage point. Hey, Minorikawa snapped, don't get any closer! He spread his arms wide to hold them back. Young men came to a halt, but otherwise paid him no heed. Oh, this is bad. This is for real bad. Think this is a terrorist thing? Yo, get out your phone. Come on. But like, you think this is a terrorist thing? Dude, shut up. Just hurry up and call Susumu. Or Susumu. The taller of the two, dressed in red, was ordering around his blue-clad companion. Why are you calling Susumu? Why are... Oh, okay. Huh? The boy in blue huffed. Man, do it yourself. Say what now? Bitch, this ain't no time to get yourself all worked up. Minorikawa stood there, arms still held wide, getting more and more annoyed at their back and forth. Yo, just make the call, man. The young fellow in red scowled. He wasn't going to back down. Huh? Yo, what difference does it make if I do it or if you do it? It doesn't make any difference, so it don't matter if you do it. Yeah, right, it don't matter. So in that case, you do it. Look, I'm telling you to just make the damn call. I'm telling you to just make it your damn self. Oh, enough of this already. Minorikawa opened his mouth to tell them off, but then the young man in red spoke again. Dude, the goods from over at Endo Electronics are gone. You gotta let Susumu know. What? Name Endo Electronics caught Minorikawa's attention. Huh? Yeah, but ain't that all that Achi dude's fault for getting all huffy at us? I mean, it was Kiryu who told us to go find the Endo storehouse. Yeah, but Susumu doesn't like dealing in stolen goods. Says it dirties the SOS name. Well, what a coincidence. Look like these two are SOS members. Hey, Minorikawa called out. You two! Finally succeeded in getting their attention. Where is this Susumu fellow? I'd like to talk to him. He had no idea who Susumu was, having only heard the name just now. Still, from the way these two were talking, it seemed clear he held some position of leadership. You'd think I'd tell you if I knew? The fellow in red snarled. Minorikawa kept his composure. Listen, you guys know the Tenryu Gumi? The Tenryu Gumi was a Yakuza syndicate that operated in Shibuya. An up-and-coming Yakuza syndicate that turned up on the scene 10 years ago with the seemingly legitimate Takarada Financing as its business front. The group offers monetary solutions for people in financial trouble, but those who accept their offers soon find that their troubles only grow and grow. Embroiled in conflict with the Kanto Shiraminegumi, who have been long established in Shibuya. These street kids were sure to be familiar with the name, if nothing else. I may not look it, but I'm in pretty tight with the Tenryugumi. And maybe you two don't know it, but Susumu's been showing up at their office a lot lately. Susumu's been dealing with the Yakuza? Whoa, for real? Sweet! The two punks bought it completely. What's SOS doing or using as their hangout these days? I've got a little something to discuss with Susumu. Right now it's this bar called Inferno. Minorikawa made a mental note of the name. Right, and Inferno is where exactly? The two young men suddenly looked distinctly uncomfortable. Uh-oh. Later! Yeah, I got a thing I gotta do too. Backing away, they took off through the crowd. Oh, shit. That's why they ran. Hey, wait up! I need to know where Inferno is! The pair had already vanished. So, is Achi gonna recognize him? Ambulances began arriving at the scene and paramedics rushed out to tend to the wounded. Excuse me. Would you mind answering a few questions? Oh. Minorikawa turned to see a man in a suit approach him, flashing his badge. Yeah, but I haven't got to that point with Kano yet, so... Alright. So a detective with questions for him, huh? How about you answer just a few questions for me? Was this an accident or an attack? We still don't know many details. Let me rephrase that for you. This is a major incident, Minorikawa exclaimed. Huh? The detective looked pretty flummoxed. I've been around the block a few times, and I know all your police PR lingo. When you start talking about the details, that is 100% indicative of a major incident. Brushing aside Minorikawa's remark, the detective tried another question. Did you happen to notice anything unusual prior to the explosion? Unusual? Minorikawa thought back to the moments before the minivan blew up. Now you mention it, I think I heard a cell phone ringtone. The detective tilted his head. A ringtone? No, never mind, forget that. There's no way the ringtone on someone's phone would be audible through all of that. Minorikawa struck the thought from his own mind as he said it. In all likelihood, he'd associate the ringtone and the explosion simply because one had happened right before the other. Kano. A large-statured Caucasian man had called out to the detective. Evidently, the detective's name was Kano. Thank you for your cooperation, he said with a bow. He ran over to the foreigner. Mr. Minorikawa! Minorikawa turned to the female voice behind him. He found Miku standing there. She looked like she'd been crying. Miku! About earlier. He trailed off, searching for an apology. It's okay, that doesn't matter right now. Miku looked around the scene. Minorikawa followed her gaze. Something big went down here, he said. I know, she exclaimed. The explosion. I saw it happen with my own eyes. You what? Miku looked around nervously. Are you alright? He asked her. You're not hurt, are you? I'm okay. My ears are still ringing a bit, is all. Good. So what did you see at the time of the explosion? Miku assumed a thoughtful expression. There was this girl who was running toward the minivan. And then I think I saw this other Middle Eastern girl suddenly make a dive for her. And then the van just exploded. Wait, hold on, Minorikawa said. So if I'm getting this right, it sounds like this Middle Eastern girl saved the girl who was running up to the van? Miku nodded. Just then Minorikawa's phone chimed. He'd received an email. It was from Chiaki. Mr. Mino, are you still working on your copy? He checked his watch. At this point, the 4 o'clock deadline was barely 20 minutes away. Nonetheless, he decided to stay at the bomb scene. He could definitely smell a scoop here, he was sure of it. Even if he couldn't get his 6 pages done by 4, landing a major scoop should be enough to persuade the loan company. Minorikawa jotted his phone number down and handed it to Miku. I'll make things up to you, he said. Give me a call later. Miku took a scrap of paper, puzzled. If you're looking for an Aiki Jujutsu dojo, I know a few. At that, her face lit up. Minorikawa decided to process the scene for clues. As he wandered around, he caught sight of Detective Kano and his Caucasian colleague heading down an alley. What's that I smell? Something pretty damn fishy. If they were slipping away for a private conversation, maybe there was some way he could listen in. Minorikawa hurried into one of the buildings that bordered the alley. He looked around and found a public bathroom upstairs on the alley side of the building. Hoping beyond hope, he slipped up to the bathroom window. Voices outside. He held his breath and listened. Those international criminals you mentioned. Kano's voice were faint, but he couldn't make them out. Minorikawa did a little fist pump. Correct. Roughly 8 hours ago. They infected Maria Osawa with... Oh, shit. They infected Maria? So then why do they want... So do they want Hitomi as a bargaining chip? Because she has the antibodies in her? But then that means Maria's carrying it and possibly spreading it. Oh man, they infected Maria Osawa with the Uwa virus. Then they let her loose somewhere in Shibuya. Hold on. By Uwa, you mean... The discussion involved some terms Minorikawa wasn't familiar with. He focused all of his mental energy on what the two were saying. This is a killer virus with a 100% mortality rate once it takes hold. 100%? Minorikawa muttered to himself. The shock caused him to unclench the fist he didn't realize he'd made. This wasn't just an interesting conversation. It was monumental. It has an incubation period of 12 hours. In another 4 hours, Maria Osawa will go symptomatic. After that, she'll begin spreading the virus through the city. It's capable of airborne transmission. If we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms, yes, everyone in Shibuya is going to die. Minorikawa felt goosebumps rise all over his body. If they were talking about a virus and a Kenji Osawa, they can only mean that Kenji Osawa. He recalled what Osawa had said earlier about the power balance of the world being at stake. There was no doubt about it. This was a tremendous scoop. Well, then we need to find Maria Osawa and get the antiviral to her as soon as possible. Just calm down. There's more to the story than... Oh, it's starting to leak out. The door swung open loudly and someone came barging into the bathroom. Oh my fucking god. It was Yanagashita. Why him again? And why here of all places? Oh, I'm leaking here! Yanagashita was on the verge of hysterics. His voice must have been audible outside. Kano and his companion went to take their discussion elsewhere. And they'd just been getting to the good part. You son of a bitch! Enraged, Minorikawa grabbed Yanagashita and tossed him to the floor. I'm leaking! Shut your mouth! He put all of his strength into an ankle hold and gave it a good twist. A professional wrestling technique that involves grabbing the opponent by the ankle. Being caught up like this can be extremely painful. It also puts a lot of pressure on the lower body. If you're already fighting the urge to urinate, well... Ah! Yanagashita wailed. Ah! Minorikawa left the idiot blubbering in the bathroom and hurried out of the building. Oh, that second one wasn't a scream. That was a sigh of relief, wasn't it? Uh-oh. He hadn't heard the whole discussion, but he had a scoop on his hands anyway. This would be a tremendous score for Heaven Publishing, enough to let the company rebuild. I also feel you should have said something to them, or like try to say what you know, but okay. He was certain of it. If I'm the one saying it, it's gotta be true. As he ran along, Minorikawa tried to plan his next steps. First, he had to get back to the editing office. He'd explain the situation to the people from the loan company. Then he'd go find that paperwork for Osawa and have Chiaki check his copy. And then after that... Okay, so he still had a lot of things he needed to do. He swatted himself on both cheeks to get himself psyched up. His phone rang. I'm sorry, his phone range. It was Chiaki. Mr. Mino, Something terrible has happened. Chiaki's voice was a broken yelp. Whoa, calm down. Over on Koendori, this minivan exploded. Yeah, I'm well aware. Thanks to that, I've got a big scoop that... Chiaki cut him off. Just now, I got a call from Mr. Toyama's daughter, Hana. This time, Minorikawa waited for her to finish. He had a sinking feeling. Oh, shit. So that was the man at the beginning in the cutscene. That was Toyama. I knew he looked that. When I saw Toyama, I was like, he looks familiar. Wasn't that the guy that was... No, you couldn't see his face, could you? Or his head. Or did he have a bag on his head? I don't remember. But there was somebody tied up in the back of a van. Oh my god. Shit. Okay. She said that Mr. Toyama was in there. It was a suicide. Minorikawa's knees buckled. Tell me you're joking. No, I mean, the van explosion is all over the news, and Hana was in tears on the phone, and... Mr. Mino? Mr. Mino, are you still there? Toyama had killed himself. Minorikawa felt the energy drained from his body. How would that be a suicide, though? Some stuff isn't adding up. Unless Toyama found Hana, saw the explosion, and figured, I know how I can use this to my advantage, and had Hana call them up to say like, oh, he was in the van, he's dead, my father's dead, and then the loan sharks would stay off of him. I don't know, but there was a man that was like bound and gagged in a van. So maybe they caught him to use as a decoy for Hitomi, because there was a body in the van. This is getting fucking crazy. What's going on with you? Oh my fucking god. Just gonna see, because I don't see the keep out there for Maria. Phew. Suddenly I feel totally exhausted. Let out a sigh and drop my eyes, and that's when I noticed a notebook on the ground at my feet. Oh yeah, this. But the keep out was gone. Did the assassin drop this? I pick it up and look inside. Yeah, photograph tucked aside, 3 young people, 2 boys and a girl. Was that where the keep out happened? Okay. Well, what do I do now? Do I go to the police? How would I explain the situation? I can see it now. Oh, yeah, this is a repeat. This would be like, who is that? And who exactly is she after? You can give me the time of day. Okay. What am I supposed to do? I hang my head at a total loss. The necklace around my neck sways idly to and fro. Why did... Oh. Okay, I will cut out that. Hopefully I remember to. Yeah, it was just going back to her keep out, but I had already reached that point, and nothing I did changed that? Okay, so where is the jump point then? Because that was the jump to Minorikawa. Okay, and this is the jump to Maria. But that can only mean that Tanaka was trying to... Well, yeah, like he only told them that with the intent of getting Maria killed. Or no, getting Hitomi killed. But then why does the man with the cane want to kill her too? Ah, well. Eventually, I muster up the energy to start walking around town, heading nowhere in particular. The billboard outside of a department store displays a poster of some female musician. She must be pretty popular, because lots of passersby stop to take a good look. Am I just imagining things? I feel like I saw the same poster somewhere very recently. Standing underneath the sign is a woman talking on her cell phone. Sounds like she's having an argument with whoever's on the line. I don't want to be nosy, so I just pass on by. That's going to be important. Was that Aya? As I come out onto Koendori, I gradually come to a halt. I'm a little tired from all this aimless wandering around. I let my gaze stray along the street as I consider my next move. Then I catch sight of a blue minivan parked across the street. Oh! Suddenly my heart starts pounding. I know this. I know this minivan. If I head over to it, I'm sure I'll remember something. As if pulled by some huge magnet, I make my way toward the vehicle. A few seconds away from reuniting with Hitomi, there's a sudden thunderous boom. I'm knocked flat by a blast of energy and the world goes all topsy-turvy. As I lie in shock, a wave of unfamiliar images fills my mind. Wait, is the trauma restoring her memory? A cloud of whirling dust in some place that isn't Japan. A simple room with unfamiliar architecture. A girl. And I know the girl's name. Her name is... On the verge of that revelation, my consciousness fades away. What? Maria arrived at Koendori just in time to get caught in the minivan explosion. If she's going to avoid this fate, she needs to stay away from that vehicle. Stay away, okay. Someone else's actions can ensure that Hana Toyama crosses paths with her again. Then Maria will talk to her and avoid the minivan. Okay. I think I know who that is. I think that's Achi. I think we wasted too much time with Hana. Okay, Achi took a quick leap to one side. Managed to avoid crashing into her by taking a tumble himself, but the girl was still definitely a bit shocked. Sorry about that, Achi said. Are you alright? But the girl didn't answer or even meet Achi's eye. She just looked around as if in a daze. Was she waiting on someone, maybe? Odd kid, Achi thought. I hope she's okay. Once more, Achi and Hitomi set off running. Okay. I think that will suffice. Yeah, because the bad end is now gone. So she didn't lose her papers and they didn't get wet, but she also doesn't have money, so that's going to be interesting. Oh, okay, well, homegirl's not talking on her cell phone under the billboard. I catch sight of little Hana in front of the billboard. She's showing something to a woman there, some colorful sheets of paper. Huh? The woman looks a lot like the musician in the poster. Moreover, I have the feeling I've seen her someplace before. Where could I have seen her? Man, having amnesia is really a pain in the ass. I have no way of knowing whether I've forgotten something or had no memory of it in the first place. The woman looks through the papers looks through the papers Hana held out to her, nodding approvingly at each one, and I hear her murmur with admiration. Hana! I wave as I scamper on over to her. As I do, the woman abruptly hurries off. Hey, we meet again, I say. Hana just gives me a bored look. Who was that just now? I ask. I don't know. Hana quickly gathers up her belongings and starts walking briskly away. Oh hey, wait up! I call out. The girl ignores me. She's moving at a jog now, heading from Spanish Hill towards Koendori. Ah! She steps out on Koendori, she trips and falls down hard. The contents of her bag spill out on the road. Oh, whoops. Catching up to her, I gather up some of the fallen pages. What's this? There are poems written on the colored paper. Copies of a prose poem titled The False Monsoon. The poem delicately details the wavering emotions of an adolescent girl. Also in a clever twist, if the text is read horizontally instead of vertically, it tells about a father's worries over her only daughter, who is now of marriageable age. Hana's genius will soon be discovered by Aya Kamiki. She will go on to become a popular songwriter. Aww. A look of embarrassment crosses Hana's face, and she snatches the pages out of my hands. Is this going to turn into that scene from Nichijou where, like, she just bosses up and just goes, like, Super Saiyan and beats everybody, like, who has all of her papers? Only in this case, it's embarrassing poses and not embarrassing porn. Don't touch those! Those are for sale. For sale? I'm selling poems that I wrote. Oh, wow, that's incredible! She looks surprised by the compliment. Incredible? Friends at school said they were dumb. That's not true. I only saw a little just now, but I thought it was a really good poem. You're just saying that. I've been out here in Shibuya for weeks trying to sell these, but the only person who's bought one was that lady just now. She was like, oh, wait, yeah, I could use this for a song and get popular, or, like, just, you know, mooch off this child to build my career. Yeah, that. Hana lets out a mournful sigh. Well, what are you out here selling poems for anyway? I thought maybe it'd help pay back our debts. Huh? Okay, that's not something I expect to hear from a little kid. My dad's in real deep. She continues. The topic makes me think of Mr. Yanagashita. Guess today's my day for meeting people mired in debt. I'm only in elementary school, so I can't get a part-time job. Japan's Labor Standards Act prohibits the hiring of children under the age of 15. For certain jobs within the entertainment industry, however, employers can obtain permission from the Labor Standards Inspection Office for younger children to work. I'm impressed. She's so brave. She's maybe a little hard to approach, but she is just a kid after all. She's so brave, I just want to give her a hug. Ooh, Hana. Hear a strange wailing call from behind me. So he's... This is around the time the van explodes. He's faking his death. Startled, I turn around to see Mr. Toyama standing there, tears streaming from his eyes. Oh. Hana! I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were trying so hard to... Toyama rushes up to the girl. It's quite the emotional father-daughter reunion. Or at least that's how it looks until Hana slaps her father across the face with her bundle of papers. What? What was that for? Don't you give me that. I'm sick of all this running around. She delivers several more well-placed smacks with her little craft project. Okay, okay, Toyama says at last. I know you're upset, but I have to ask you for just one thing. Then we can see about getting through the day, yeah? Okay, but just one. I can't help but find this ornery interaction kind of charming. You two get along really well, don't you? I say. Yep. Nope. The two give simultaneous contradictory replies. Then Hana suddenly starts to walk off with Toyama tottering after her. It's such a weird little sight that I can't help but laugh. Well, later then! Well, all you had to do was turn around Maria and you would have seen your sister yeah, Toyama was not in that van, so he's faking his death. He's faking his death. Further along Koendori, I come across a car on the roadside that's spectacularly aflame. A group of onlookers surrounds it in a confused uproar. It seems almost unreal, like I'm looking at a set for a TV show or something. I stand there staring into the flames. Huh? What's that? I can see something. The raging heat makes the air shimmer. The scent of dry sand fills my nose. A gust of searing wind tugs at my hair. Where am I? Decaying roads, decaying houses, a decaying city. And the people who live there. People who live. People who live. People who live. There is someone by my side. Someone is with me, watching all of this. It's a girl. The person with me is a girl, slightly younger than me. She says something to me. Ana is me. Cat's Cradle. That's my voice now. Cat's Cradle? Whose voice was that? What's going on? Who am I talking to? Yeah, Cat's Cradle. I'm showing someone how to do a cat's cradle with string. But who? Who am I showing how to do a cat's cradle? Kanan. The word Kanan echoes in my head. Also, I didn't want to, like, destroy the mood, but I used to know how to do cat's cradle myself. I had a book that had, like, a whole bunch of different, like, string things you could do. Like Eiffel Tower, like the cradle, the baby basket thing. Oh, man. I have forgotten how to do all of that stuff, but I remember just having fun. I knew a lot of it by heart, but it has to at least have been decades since that. Like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think, what was the last time I did, like, string stuff? I don't think, honestly, I might have stopped around, like, mid-elementary school. The most random memory I could pull out. Whatever, let's just go. Kanan. Utter the name aloud. Images flowing through my mind are beginning to break up and vanish. I feel like, for a brief moment at least, I caught hold of the edges of some of my lost memories. That's right. Kanan. As soon as I say it, I'm filled with a powerful sense of duty. There's something I'm responsible for. Something that I needed to do. If I don't, this Kanan person is going to be in grave danger. Calm down, just calm down. I'm pleading with myself now, fighting the impulse to take off running. If I did, where would I go? I have no idea what my destination or my goal even is. Please, please remember something. Please, please. I gaze out at the flames, practically praying now. Don't move. A voice hisses in my ear and I feel something hard press against my back. I'll need to turn around to recognize whose voice it is. I thought you said you didn't have any business with... I did a little thinking. Says the man with the cane slowly now. Or, says the man with the cane slowly. About how I might lure out Hitomi Osawa, see? I'm going to use you as bait. Ah, fuck. You son of a bitch. Okay, well, that's one way. And then you're gonna kill her sister right in front of her, like, I'm so very sorry. But does he know that Maria is a carrier? Because that's what they just revealed with Kano and... Or Kano. Well, I have 3 to be continued. Is Osawa's going to be self-contained? Because he hasn't affected anyone yet unless he gets a call from Kano. Suddenly a boom as loud as cannon fire shook the area. Something's wrong, Kano thought. That's no ordinary city noise. A column of black smoke rose up from between 2 nearby buildings. Passerby stopped and stared, gasping in alarm. We watch this again. He's not going to see Minorikawa on the ground, so that's going to change. Then Kano saw flames. This hadn't been an accident. Someone had set off an explosion. The Shibuya precinct wasn't too far from here. Kano recalled the attempted bioterrorism attack on Kasumi Gaseki. 2 years ago, the Tokyo Metropolitan Public Safety Commission obtained intel of an imminent bioterrorist attack within the city. Immediately afterward, an unoccupied minivan exploded outside the Metropolitan Police Department. A device for dispersing a bacterial contagion was discovered at the subway platform at Kasumi Gaseki Station. Having determined that the city bureaucracy was the target, the Japanese government contacted the terrorist organization responsible in secret, making a deal to put an end to the threat. The incident had begun with the van exploding outside of the Tokyo MPD station. Already a large group of onlookers was gathering. Shouts rose up as they took in the scene. What's going on? What happened? That car is on fire! Kano called in to HQ, then quickly slipped around to the back of the burning vehicle. It was a minivan. Peering at the flaming chassis, he could see that there was someone inside. Oh no. Could that be Hitomi? Once they had their hands on the antiviral, the criminals would have no further use for Hitomi Osawa. Already the body had been charred to ash. At this point it was hardly recognizable as human anymore. Keep out. Okay. So that's probably the Osawa cross-section then. Well then, let's go. I've never truly trusted anyone, not on a fundamental level. Human beings are a type of organism that I can't get a true handle on through mere surface interactions. And the very fact that I have never trusted anyone else means that, inevitably, no one else has ever trusted me. In the end, maybe the root of all my problems can be traced back to my heart. Damn, like... Am I reading about Osawa or am I reading about myself? Holy shit, that hit a little too close. Granted, I do trust people, but I'm also, like, very highly suspicious of a lot of people, so... pull the mask back a bit. Like, I do not take compliments well at all. Like, every time I hear a compliment, I do not trust the person who, like, is complimenting me. Like, I don't know why, I'm just, like, so distrustful when it comes to stuff like that. Like, oh, you did a great job, or oh, you're so good at doing this, and I'm just like, you don't mean it, or you're just saying that just to make yourself feel good. I'm trash and whatnot. I have very low self-esteem and trust issues. Like, so that's why a lot of this Osawa stuff is just hitting a little too close to home. It's like, wow, okay, can we chill out a little? I'm feeling attacked here. But all right, let's just pull the mask back on and continue. As he waited for Minorikawa to contact him, Osawa thought about his current crisis. Assuming Tanaka was behind the kidnapping, then he must have accomplices. And these criminals had mistakenly abducted Maria in their attempt to get at the antiviral drug that was in Hitomi's blood. Maria and Hitomi were fraternal twins, but they looked similar enough to be mistaken for identical twins. Still, Tanaka would never confuse the two. Well, he kinda did. The mix-up must have been made by some criminal who didn't know Maria or Hitomi personally. Oh, well, actually, he kind of did in the bad ending that didn't happen because I avoided having Maria go up there at that time. Insisting that Hitomi bring the ransom to the train station was obviously their solution. It had set her up for a second abduction. But piecing together this much of the kidnapper's plan only raised a different question. Why had Tanaka shown him those emails from Hitomi? Wouldn't the criminals want to keep information like that hidden? The more Osawa thought about things, the less they made sense. Just who are my true allies, and who are my foes? Well, you kind of already spoke with Tanaka, so, no, he is not your ally. Mr. Osawa, delivery has arrived for you. It was Kajiwara at the study door. Come in. Kajiwara stepped into the room and handed Osawa a letter-sized envelope. Osawa checked the label. Coming, the official Ayakamiki fan club membership application enclosed. Oh my god. Requires a 1,000 yen initiation fee and yearly dues of 3,000 yen. Membership grants several perks, including the opportunity to reserve concert tickets in advance of the general public. Osawa is fond of the members-only website content, which includes Ayakamiki's blog and exclusive videos. Right. He requested the application the day he had gotten back from overseas. Would you mind opening that? Kajiwara asked apologetically. What for? I'd just like to check the contents of any packages you received today, sir. It's possible the kidnapper may try to make contact. It's possible the kidnapper may try to make contact you by mail. Osawa opened the envelope. Inside he found the expected application, along with several postcards featuring pictures of the singer. Kajiwara peered pointedly at the postcard images. You must really like her, the detective said. And just what sort of music do you listen to, then? Osawa asked, staring at one of the postcards. It was a striking photo that showed off Kamiki's expressive eyes. Let me think. Mostly classical, I suppose. Osawa raised a quizzical eyebrow. You know, Kajiwara continued, like Mozart and Chopin and the like. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, 1756 to 1791. Holy shit, really? He was that young? Wow, okay. Austrian-born music prodigy and classical composer. Famous works include The Marriage of Figaro, The Magic Flute, and Symphony number 41, known as the Jupiter Symphony. And also, Frederick Francois Chopin, 1810 to 1849, composer and pianist of the early Romantic era, famed as a national musician of Poland, left behind numerous solo piano works. Famous works include his Nocturne Op. 9, No. 2, and his Piano Sonata No. 2. He hummed a few bars. Can't say I've ever heard them. Are you serious? Kajiwara looked shocked. I'm familiar with the names, of course. I just never had much of an interest in music. Oh, that's such a shame. Would you care to listen to a piece now? Why would they give me this choice? I guess maybe I should try to trust Kajiwara and entertain him? I suppose I may as well. Now he brought it up, Osawa was curious to know what sort of music Kajiwara enjoyed. The detective pulled a digital music player out of his pocket. Here you go. Osawa slipped the attached earbuds into his ears. He heard a flow of quiet strings that was soon joined by bold, dramatic horns. As the piece continued, it grew more profound and complex, and Osawa could feel his spirit calming. He took a deep breath and expelled it through his nostrils. It felt as if the toxic gloom that had filled him was departing with the air. Before he knew it, nearly 10 minutes had passed. What do you think? It's quite nice. Theme of this piece is, Kajiwara paused for a moment and thought. Well, it's about how erudition can be boorishness. Was not expecting this from Kajiwara. Okay. Alright. Damn, don't judge a book by its cover, I guess. Accumulated knowledge. The term often connotes an advanced and or esoteric understanding. Displaying a moderate amount can impress others, but pompously flaunting it is bound to put them off. Thank you. If I hadn't met you, I'd never have discovered this piece. He spoke the words unthinkingly with unaccustomed frankness. Was this the power of music, then? Very happy to hear that, sir. Osawa gazed at one of the postcards as he let himself be drawn back into the music. Aya was scooping up handfuls of mystical blue sand. The grains dripped down from her fingertips. Feel like I could be in this photo here, Osawa muttered. Like I've lived my life letting so many things slip through my fingers. Kajiwara thought for a moment before responding. I think anyone who's worked hard to accomplish something and focused for a long time on that one thing is susceptible to those kinds of feelings. Please stop attacking me, game. Accomplishing something means getting results. That's not where my problem is. So I removed the headphones and gave back the music player. You told me not to hide things from you, right? Kajiwara nodded silently. Then allowed me to speak frankly. Leaning back heavily in his chair, Osawa took another deep, slow breath. I'm anxious. So anxious that it's almost crushing me. Given the circumstances, sir, that's completely No. Osawa spoke up before Kajiwara could finish. It's not that. It's not that at all. He shook his head vigorously. If the worst should happen to my daughter, how am I going to feel, I wonder? I'm not a man with a wide range of emotions. My heart is always cold somehow. And the truth is I want it to be that way. Which is why, if I do lose my daughter, my heart might remain unmoved. I may not even be able to feel a father's sorrow. That's what I'm anxious about. He felt his emotions twist inside him in a way that was utterly confusing. For perhaps the first time in his life, he realized how fickle a thing the human heart could be. "It's all right, sir." Kajiwara flashed him a carefree smile. "What's all right? People who really have cold hearts don't worry about that sort of thing." The detective held out his music player again. "Here, I'd like you to have this. Please give it another listen if you like. I think it might help you calm your nerves." Osawa took the offered device. He had dared to open up to Kajiwara just a little, and... God, I hate motorcycle season. And to his own surprise, he felt grateful for it. "And how about one of these as well?" The detective produced a banana from his pocket. "I'm fine, thanks." "Are you sure?" Let's not take the banana. "I'm sure." Osawa spoke firmly, then his expression softened a little. "You know, you've been getting on my nerves all day." "Really? And here I thought I'd been doing what I could to soothe your spirits, Mr. Osawa." It's actually been a real long time since I've yelled at anyone quite so much. As the words left his lips, Osawa found himself thinking back to one particular rainy day. Maria had been in 5th grade at the time. Osawa was standing in his daughter's room. In his hands, he held the letter she'd left behind. He happened to glance out the window and saw Maria walking along, soaked from head to toe. In an instant, Osawa was consumed with rage. Maria had left a note. It read, "Dad, you only pay attention to Hitomi. You're too busy with work to play with me, so I'm running away from home." Struck by an impulse he didn't quite understand, he ran from the room, heading for the front door. Maria had just gotten back inside. Osawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. "You don't care what happens to me, do you?" Impulsively, he slapped her face. Maria's cheek turned red and tears welled up in her eyes. Osawa's anger transformed abruptly into guilt. He gazed down at the palm of his hand and saw a tiny spot of blood. Damn! He was shocked by the recognition of what he'd just done. And then he was afraid. Afraid that his daughter could bring such raw emotion out of him and made him do something so thoughtless. "Is something wrong, Mr. Osawa?" Kajiwara was leaning in, looking concerned. Osawa came back into the moment with a start and realized he had buried his face in his hands. "No," he muttered, looking up. "Just getting angry, yelling at people. I'm not good with that sort of thing. I don't like it." He picked up the music player and fidgeted with the earbuds as he spoke. "Well, getting angry and yelling at people, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's just human." "It's human to do those kinds of things?" I often said that he was cold and mechanical. Her sarcasm only underlined a fact he'd always lived with, that he didn't know how to conduct himself like a human being. Once again, game, please stop targeting me. "If you get angry, you should show it," Kajiwara said. If you get sad, you should show it. Or, no, not saying should. If you get angry, you show it. If you get sad, you show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling after all. What if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. Fucking shit. Okay. It occurred to Osawa that he never tried to tell anyone how he felt before. He never felt the need to. And yet, right now, he suddenly felt that if his daughters were to appear before him, he might blurt out everything he'd ever left unsaid. It was a terrifying thought. Darling, I opened the door and stepped into the room. The detectives are asking for you. It seems there's been a development. We'll be right there. Osawa and Kajiwara hurried out of the room. Keep out? But there's two! Okay, who had a jump point that I left, like, unturned? Who had a jump point? And I'm not oh my god. Give me a moment here. Okay. But yeah, not lying here. Like, I was legitimately, like, last night just thinking about a lot of stuff. Like, just, I don't know, I was feeling down and I was just, like, caught up in my thoughts and that guy. Who's that guy? No, wait, there was a jump point in Minorikawa's, that's right. But yeah, like, I was just in my thoughts and, like, just feeling down, trying to flesh out a lot of stuff. And I was getting into the whole thing of, like, maybe I don't really express my emotions that well and blah, blah, blah. And then we come to this fucking Osawa stuff and I'm just like, damn, can they read my mind? Are they like video game companies that come out with like new stuff when I'm planning to LP them? Like what's going on here? Why is my phone ringing? Okay, hopefully I can finish this now. Several people were on the ground nearby, evidently injured by the explosion. A girl in a hoodie was crouched among them, doing her best to tend their injuries. Miku Morita, while walking along, upset at Minorikawa for not introducing her to an Aikido Jujutsu dojo, she happened across the aftermath of the minivan explosion. Unable to stand idly by when faced with such a horrific scene, she pitched in as best as she could to help the wounded. Already jumped at him though, so yeah, we're done there. Kano recognized her as the girl he talked to earlier during the traffic jam. Police, he announced. Get back, let me handle this. The girl was visibly relieved. Help her, she said. She pointed to a figure lying on the sidewalk a short distance from the burning minivan. It was a Middle Eastern girl. She appeared to be unconscious. I think she got hurt rescuing another girl, about college age, the girl in the hoodie said. A college-aged girl? That might be Hitomi. What happened to the girl she saved? Kano asked. The Good Samaritan looked around. Huh? Where'd she go? The rescuee had disappeared. This girl here, the girl in the hoodie, gestured toward the fallen girl. I can't believe how fast she was. She spoke with a hint of awe. The way she moved to get to that other girl. She was on a level way beyond mine. Kano took another look at the injured girl. Her figure looked rather delicate. It was hard to believe she was capable of great feats of athleticism. He started toward her, but Stanley stepped ahead of him. Leave this one to me, he said. He knows. His expression was unusually stern, even for him. Do you know her? Kano asked. The American didn't answer as he checked the girl's pulse and then her pupils. Hey, Stanley, don't you have other things you should be doing? Stanley snapped. Fine then, Kano decided to collect some eyewitness accounts. Patrol cars and ambulances arrived at the scene in a steady stream. Once the vehicle fire was under control, things gradually began to calm down. Several officers walked to cover the area around the burned minivan with the blue tarp. Kano got his questioning underway, starting by flashing his badge at a man near the front of the crowd. "Excuse me, would you mind answering a few questions?" The man puffed himself up. "How about you answer a few questions for me? Was this an accident or an attack?" "We still don't know many details," Kano admitted. The man shoved his finger in Kano's face. "Let me rephrase that for you. This is a major incident." "Huh?" "I've been around the block a few times and I know all your police PR lingo. And when you start talking about the details, that is 100% indicative of a major incident." "Well, I sure picked the wrong guy to try and talk to." Stifling his frustration, Kano continued his questioning. "Did you happen to notice anything unusual prior to the explosion?" "Unusual? Now that you mention it, I think I heard a cell phone ringtone." "A ringtone?" "No, never mind, forget that. There's no way the ringtone on someone's phone would be audible through all of that." The man was probably right, but somehow the idea nagged at Kano. He jotted down a note in his pad. "Kano." It was Stanley. Perfect timing. "Thank you for your cooperation," Kano told the man. Then he hurried on his way. Stanley stepped in close enough to whisper. "Who was that guy?" "An eyewitness to the explosion, apparently." "Did he have any info?" "He said he heard a cell phone ringtone at the time of the explosion. Not sure if that's significant, though." Stanley stood silently for a moment, thinking. "What about the girl?" Kano asked. "Has she woken up?" "No. I'm gonna drive her to the hospital." "Huh? Why do that yourself?" "Just look around," Stanley said. He cast his eyes out over the scene. There were still many injured people lying on the roadside. It seemed the authorities hadn't sent enough ambulances. "But isn't your car back in Mario Macho?" Kano asked. "Under the circumstances, I think it makes sense for me to go back for it," Stanley replied coolly. "Besides, I have a few things I'd like to ask her." Kano was curious. "You do?" he asked. Stanley's cell rang. "Yes," Stanley answered, the phone in English. As he listened, his demeanor changed. The blood drained from his face, and his hand began to tremble slightly as it gripped the phone. Kano had never seen him this shaken up. "You got it," Stanley said at last. He hung up the phone and let out a sigh. "What is it?" Kano asked. Stanley headed into an alley without responding. Kano hurried after him. Once they were out of earshot of the crowd, Stanley finally spoke. "That call right now is from Gordon, my superior." Commissioner Gordon? Okay. He broke off there and for a long while was silent. He appeared to be struggling with some strong emotion. Let's get straight to the point. Kano was getting impatient. "What is it? If you're going to tell me something, then tell me." "All right," Stanley said at last. "I can trust you with this." "Wow, never thought I'd hear you say you trust me," Kano teased. But Stanley's expression remained dead serious. "We were contacted on our end by the mastermind of this plot." "Those international criminals you mentioned?" "Oh, those international criminals you mentioned?" "Correct. Roughly 8 hours ago. They infected Maria Osawa with the UA virus. Then they let her loose somewhere in Shibuya." "Hold on. By UA you mean..." Kano thought back to his earlier conversation with Stanley. These criminals were trying to get their hands on a new drug. An antiviral drug developed by Kenji Osawa that had been shown to be effective against the UA virus. Stanley hesitated before continuing. "This is a killer virus with a 100% mortality rate once it takes hold. Kenji Osawa's antiviral is our only means of combating it." "A mortality rate of 100%? Has an incubation period of 12 hours. In another 4 hours, Maria Osawa will go symptomatic. After that, she'll begin spreading the virus throughout the city." It's capable of airborne transmission? Following the onset of symptoms, individuals infected with the UA virus bleed from the lungs, and the virus is readily released into the air via coughing. I picked the wrong goddamn time to start playing this game. Holy shit. The UA virus is highly resilient in the open air and can survive even after saliva or other fluids have evaporated. Simply getting within 2 meters of a symptomatic patient is said to carry a high risk of infection. What the fuck? Like, okay. Alright, 428 Shibuya Scramble predicted the pandemic that's going on, though, at least, well, Steve Carino virus doesn't, have a 100% mortality rate. That would be frightening. But, man, wait, is YouTube still demonetizing videos for saying the actual name of the virus? Am I safe to call it by its name now, or should I just still stick with Steve Carino? I'll stick with Steve Carino. Again, 2 meters carry a high risk of infection. Bodily fluids from deceased patients carry an especially high concentration of the virus, and anything contaminated with such fluids must be thoroughly sterilized before it is safe. Stanley nodded. If we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms. Yes? Kano's voice was trembling now. Stanley spoke with complete certainty. Everyone in Shibuya is going to die. Well, then we need to find Maria Osawa and get the antiviral to her as soon as possible, Kano said, panicking. Stanley remained cool. Just calm down. There's more to the story that... Stanley was interrupted by a strange sound from the upper floors of a nearby building. Unsure of what it was, the two men hurriedly relocated. Somebody was leaking there. They paused when they came to a vacant lot. The place was deserted. No need to worry about being overheard here. You said there was more to the story? Kano prompted. The antiviral in question is stored in Kenji Osawa's laboratory. The lab is protected by a sophisticated security system. Apparently the storage area where the drug is kept requires fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. What? But Tanaka's... Kano couldn't help but gasp. Tanaka was currently a fugitive, the prime suspect in the kidnapping case. There was no chance of getting any fingerprint authorization from him at this stage. Is there any other way to get in? Kano asked. The door can also be unlocked via password, in place of the fingerprint scanner. But we still need to know what Tanaka chose for his password. No. In any event, Stanley said, it's essential that we track down and secure Maria. But, he went on, his voice grave, even if we get Maria to safety, the mastermind is now in possession of the UA virus. If they want to, they can unleash a bioterrorist attack on Shibuya at any time. To put it bluntly, the lives of every man, woman, and child in the city are in their hands. Kano felt a pulse of fear deep enough to give him vertigo. He slowly tilted his... He slowly tilted his head, and gazed at the sky, vast and blue as always. I'll forgive, grammatical and, structural sentence errors and stuff, because editing a text-based game of this level is always going to be rough, but, come on, y'all have had quite a few in this chapter. Come on now. There had to be tens of thousands of people in Shibuya right now. Rumi and Shizuo were among them, and they might all be dead within a day. It felt so unreal, Kano's mind almost couldn't process it. With an effort of will, he shook himself out of his daze. Now was no time to waver. We have to try, he said. In the next 4 hours, we need to find Maria Osawa, and figure out a way to stop this mastermind and the UA virus. Words were as much for himself as they were for his companion. Let's do this, Stanley. We might not always see eye to eye, but together I feel like you and I could find a way. But Stanley averted his gaze. My job here is simply to apprehend the mastermind. Kano felt a resurgence of his earlier anger at Stanley. Once again, he was putting his duties above human life. I'm sorry. Stanley's voice was a quiet mutter. You should get away from Shibuya as soon as possible, Kano. Kano hadn't imagined that the American would ever be worried for him. I appreciate the warnings, he said, but I'm seeing this through to the end. This isn't the sort of thing you can solve with just an effort of willpower. Even so, giving up isn't the Japanese detective way. Stanley let out a nasal chuckle. Back to that again, are we? Same to you. Kano managed a tiny chuckle of his own. Listen, Stanley went on after a moment. This is just between you and me. The mastermind behind the kidnapping case is an arms dealer who goes by the name Alphard. Beyond simply selling weapons, illegal arms dealers are also frequently involved in smuggling weapons unlawfully obtained through deals with government or military contacts. In recent years, such enterprises have become increasingly globalized. Some dealers form smuggling networks that also deal in money laundering, drug trafficking, and more. Alphard? The attempted bioterrorist attack on Kasumi Gaseki, a hotel bombing in Chicago. Alphard had a hand in all of them. What do you know about this criminal? Kano asked. Stanley's expression grew even darker. Alphard's signature is extremely meticulous planning. But I don't mean meticulous in the same way you or I might normally think of it. Their plans are perfectly imperfect. Do you get what I mean? Kano shook his head. Alphard deliberately engineers accidents to make things complicated and unpredictable. It's difficult to get a good grasp of what's going on when the situation seems to be falling apart. People tend not to consider that coincidental mishaps might be anything but. In the end, they don't even realize they were playing right into the mastermind's hands all along. Like with the case passing thing. Kano could hear the intensity in Stanley's voice. I'm afraid that's all I can say. Stanley held out his right hand. See you around, Kano, if we're still alive. If we're still alive? Kano let that sink in for a moment. Nah, I'll shake your hand. After we finish this case. With a slight smile, Stanley withdrew his hand. Then the two bumped fists instead. They're practicing social distancing. Alright, we'll meet again, Kano. I'm sure of it. Well, technically, they're not practicing social distancing because they're within 6 feet of each other. But, you know, the fact that they're doing just a fist bump instead of shaking hands means they're less likely to, pass over germs to the other. There we go. Yeah, see you then. No sooner had Stanley departed than Kuze's voice came in over the wireless. Attention all units! As of now, further investigation on the kidnapping case is suspended. The director's voice sounded strangely cold. I repeat, as of now, further investigation on the kidnapping case is suspended. Wait, hold on, sir, Kano shouted. What is it, Kano? Would you let us know why? We've received information that Maria Osawa has been infected with an unknown virus and has been released somewhere in Shibuya. That matched up with what Stanley had said earlier. An anti-bioterrorism security force will probably be deployed in Shibuya. Terrorism involving biological agents such as bacteria or viruses. Biological weapons are easier to acquire and transport than nuclear weapons, and because the rely on an organism's natural ability to proliferate or infect, they can yield powerful results for low effort. For these reasons, recent years have seen widespread apprehension about the possibility that such weapons might be used by terrorists. In the event that a bioterrorist attack occurred in Japan, temporary quarantine and decontamination facilities will be set up in the area affected. This is no longer a simple kidnapping case. Our part in this is finished. No, it's not. We haven't managed to resolve anything. Kano, I assure you everyone else feels the same as you do. Kuze's voice had a cautionary tone. They're still performing on the autopsy found on that body. They're still performing the autopsy on the body found in that blue minivan that exploded. I'll let you know once we have a positive ID. Good God, why can I not read? Kuze, out? Director. But the line had already gone dead. Left at a loss, Kano gazed out at the cityscape. The sight of the bombed vehicle had calmed down briefly, but now that the news networks had begun reporting, the herd of onlookers was growing. There was also a sizable crowd gathered outside of a large home electronics store. The large LCD televisions on display were showing a press conference being held by the governor of Tokyo. No. Kano might learn something new about the case. He decided to watch the broadcast. Getting closer with the administration, we are keeping a careful eye on the situation as it develops. The governor's expression was solemn as he spoke. The moment he finished his statement, the reporters bombarded him with questions. Seems similar to the bioterrorist attack on Kasumi Gaseki 2 years ago. Is there any possible connection? What countermeasures do we have in the event that Shibuya is the target of bioterrorism? The governor was visibly disconcerted. If this does turn out to be a bioterrorist attack, we will establish emergency shelters with a large-scale quarantine station at Yoyogi Park. However, there are still many details that remain unknown. The politician was clearly struggling to maintain his composure. Can you comment on the rumors we're hearing that Shibuya might be blockaded off? Don't be ridiculous, the governor barked. What outlet are you with? Are you trying to start a panic when we don't even know all the details? Besides, it wouldn't even be possible to blockade the whole of Shibuya. Press conference continued. The governor and the reporters locked in a belligerent back and forth. Kano left the electronics store and headed for the cafe where Rumi and Shizuo were waiting. He had to tell them both to get far away from Shibuya. Cafe Lautrec seemed quiet when Kano arrived. Shizuo was sitting alone. Kano scanned the establishment but didn't see Rumi anywhere. One of the staff greeted him. Welcome, just one, sir? No, I'm meeting someone, actually. Of course, sir. The hostess smiled and then went on her way. Shizuo was glaring at him. Kano walked over to him and bowed deeply. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. I'm Shinya Kano. You look even more of a knuckle dragger than I thought. Shizuo maintained his appraising stare. Rumi had something she needed to do, so she stepped away for a while, he said after a long moment. Kano sat down across from him. There was a laptop computer open on the table. Right now, the laptop is in sleep mode, and there's nothing on the monitor. But just before Kano came in, Shizuo was browsing an internet forum. He takes his user handle from a nickname for the apples he grows on his own farm, which are pretty little things, and nearly as sweet as honey. Oh my god. No, it can't be. Because I think they said that the person on that forum was a girl? Is it really Shizuo? Is he an Ayakamiki fan too? The waitress came by to take Kano's order, so he asked for an iced coffee. I'm shocked that all of this happened in like 20 minutes. What are you using the computer for? Kano asked. I'm on the internet. Shizuo's voice was low and gruff. This cafe has an internet connection? May as well start with a little small talk. So what? Again, Shizuo glared at Kano. The words wouldn't come. No, actually, this is no time to be making idle chit-chat. If they got infected with the virus, Rumi and Shizuo might die. Might? 100% mortality rate, and you're up here going to say might? Look. Please, you need to leave Shibuya right away. Shizuo's face contorted with confusion. What are you talking about? Why? Kano wasn't sure if he should tell the truth or not. He was strictly prohibited from discussing a case with anyone outside the department. As a former policeman himself, Shizuo ought to understand full well the secrecy an investigation required. But it wasn't like he'd just up and leave town without a good reason. Please listen, Kano said. Huh. I feel like they tossed that, oh, he'll understand thing at me to lead me toward this. But at the same time, revealing all that info. I'll go for it. Listen, there's a risk of... What's that? What I mean is... risk of, Shizuo pounded his fist on the table. Spit it out! Kano just couldn't say it. It didn't matter who he was talking to. He couldn't make himself leak the details of an ongoing investigation. Besides, there was no guarantee a bioterrorist attack would actually happen. If they could just find and secure Maria Osawa before she went symptomatic. Does this have something to do with the case you're working? Huh? You telling me to leave Shibuya? Does that have something to do with your case? Yes, Kano admitted. So why don't you run off with Rumi then? Shizuo, oh, no, that's him. So why don't you run off with Rumi then? Shizuo's tone was frank. Well, I mean, when Kano didn't have an answer handy, Shizuo let out a single heavy sigh. Is your work important to you? He asked. Kano hesitated. Is it more important than Rumi? Well... Again, Shizuo cut Kano off as he waffled over how to answer. Me, I used to put my work before my family. There was no question in my mind that combating society's ills and solving cases was worth any price. Because of that, I did some pretty reckless things. Almost wound up dead more than once. Shizuo paused, a forlorn look in his eyes. My wife did nothing but worry about me. Much that I didn't even realize when she'd worried herself sick. I was so caught up in my work that I wasn't even there for her when she finally passed away. It was all so very absurd of me. The waitress came by and set Kano's iced coffee on the table. It sat there untouched until Shizuo looked at it pointedly. With a tiny nod, Kano brought the cup to his lips. The bittersweet liquid was a balm to his parched throat. I told Rumi the same story, Shizuo continued, but I didn't tell her how absurd it was. I told her that her father only did what he had to do. He took a sip from his glass of water. Rumi, she's very much like her mother used to be. Their personalities are almost identical. And I don't want her to suffer the same way my wife did. Shizuo's fist clenched in his lap. What was it that made you become a detective in the first place? Oh, wait, no. What was it that made you become a detective in the first place? He asked. Well, at first, I got the job because I thought it would make Rumi happy. And then I guess also because I thought it'd make you like me, sir. It was the truth, but Shizuo simply chuckled. If your goal is to get me to like you, you may as well give up now. I'm sorry, sir, Kano said. I can't do that. Are you the stubborn around Rumi? Shizuo grumbled. I love your daughter, sir. I want to keep her safe to make her happy. And why is that? Whenever I think about her, I just feel so amazing. I'm sure that you or anyone can empathize with that. Everyone has someone they want to protect who makes them feel that good. It's an admirable thing, waiting to be a detective and protect the happiness of the people. That doesn't mean you need to ignore your own happiness in the process. Oh, well, that's what Shizuo said. Admirable thing, happiness in the process. Well, you say may be true, sir. Earlier today, my partner was stabbed. And today's his wife's birthday. Shizuo arched his brow. Is he going to make it? We're not sure yet. Last I knew, he was in critical condition. This is why I keep saying that the life of a detective is... Shizuo's words trailed off into a lamenting murmur. Even so, Kano was unmoved. Dictum number 1. Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever.
What's that?
Something that a senior detective I admire very much said. It's the fundamental guiding principle I've stuck to as a detective. But I was wrong about the real meaning behind it. My partner was stabbed. There are people I want to rescue. So much has happened, and now I finally understand what those words mean. When you see someone in trouble, you help them. That's not something a good detective does. That's something a good person does. I took a good long look at Shizuo's face. He surprised himself finding the words to speak his feelings so clearly, and he wondered what effect it had on the older man. I'm sure that from your perspective as my future father-in-law, my being a detective means that I'm putting my life on the line. But that's not entirely true. I can only be myself. This is the kind of person I am. I care about helping people. Even if I were a baker or a brewer, or a bookseller, I'd still act the same way.
You're being ridiculous. A baker and a detective don't assume anywhere near the same risks.
Have you seen Hell's Kitchen, my dude? I suppose that's true. Kano fussed with his hair sheepishly. Shizuo grumbled.
I think I see what kind of man you are now.
He sounded oddly defeated.
Which is why now is no time to just futz around.
Kano sailed up straighter at Shizuo's weighty tone.
A detective needs more than just passion. A detective can't solve all his problems with sheer determination alone. But at the same time, he needs more than just the ability to coldly assess a situation. He needs the conviction to stick to a case when it might otherwise seem prudent to give up.
There was something new in Shizuo's expression now, and a gleam in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Kano almost felt like he was being sermoned by a senior officer. Or sermonized to by a senior officer.
You get that? You need a cool mind but a fiery spirit. A detective without both of those is worth nothing.
Do you mind if I write that down in my notebook here?
Look, Shizuo said, sounding suddenly embarrassed. Aren't you in a hurry? Don't you have to get back to your case?
Yes, and sir, please, I need you and your daughter to leave Shibuya right away.
Yeah, I hear ya.
Kano conjured up Rumi's face in his mind. There was a chance he might never see her again. He forced the thought away as best as he could. By the way,
if I may ask, Shizuo said, what was it about Rumi that made you fall in love with her?
What? Where's this coming from all of a sudden?
Was it her looks?
No, it wasn't just that. Kind of found himself tongue-tied again. I mean, she is pretty cute. Even if this is... Oh my god. Alright.
I mean, she is pretty cute. Even this is my own daughter I'm talking about.
Shizuo shocked him by grinning from ear to ear. Well, yes, she sure is, Kano replied. But it's more than just that. She's also very sweet and kind-hearted.
She is, isn't she?
Yeah, she really is. For the first time, Kano and Shizuo smiled at one another.
You're a man who lets his emotions show on his face, Shizuo said. And for a detective, that's not so bad.
Thank you, sir, Kano said. He bowed to Shizuo as he stood up from his seat. Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect, huh?
I like that. Wise words indeed.
Kano turned to look back and then bowed deeply to Shizuo one last time. Well, that's going to wrap up nicely. The ability to coldly assess the situation. Kano knew what he needed to do. There was one thing that was nagging him. No matter how hard he thought about it, it still didn't add up. Why would Tatano let Alcarawan go free? He needed to get back to the precinct and get the truth from Alcarawan firsthand. As he walked along, he considered what he did know about the facts of the case. Just what sort of plan had Alphard put into motion here? It seemed that Tanaka and Osawa held the keys to understanding it.
There had been relay handoffs of the phony attaché case, a relay that Tanaka had been complicit in. Then there was Hitomi missing, carrying the antiviral. Osawa had confirmed that himself. There's the jump point for that, but I might as well just finish this off. Kano was starting to form a vague picture of what Alphard was up to. And the mastermind's goal, if the mastermind's goal was to acquire the antiviral, then obtaining the cooperation of Osawa and Tanaka was vital to that plan. After all, their fingerprint verification was required to physically access the drug. In order to overcome that hurdle, Alphard had presumably managed to win over Tanaka somehow, and had then kidnapped Maria Osawa to provide leverage against her father. No doubt that was how they'd gotten Hitomi to take the antiviral with her to Hachiko. While the police were distracted by following the attaché case, Alphard would then take the antiviral from Hitomi. That was the general plan as far as Kano could surmise. Just then, a call from Kuze came in over the wireless. "We've identified the body found inside the blown-up minivan." Kano's hand tingled as it gripped the wireless. Well, wasn't expecting that. So, yeah, Toyama is faking his death. Mamoru Tanaka, male, 40 years old, an employee of Akoshi Pharmaceutical. Positive ID was obtained from the subject's personal belongings. What? Kano gasped. If Tanaka was dead, it would now be almost impossible to access the antiviral drug in the laboratory. At this point, the only antiviral they had any chance of obtaining was whatever Hitomi was carrying. Kano thought back to what Stanley had said earlier. Even if we get Maria to safety, the mastermind is in possession of the UA virus. If they want to, they can unleash a bioterrorist attack on Shibuya at any time. To put it bluntly, the lives of every man, woman, and child in the city are in their hands. No. A chill ran down Kano's spine. If someone did release the UA virus, there would be no way to stop it from spreading. If Alphard really was planning a bioterror attack, Shibuya would well and truly become a city of the dead. He couldn't help but feel that the whole department was playing right into Alphard's hands. Kano staggered, physically stricken by the realization of just how terrifying a foe they were up against. Dang. So Tanaka is dead. Interesting. Anyway, let's do this jump point. All right, here we go. Before the news was shared with the Osawas, the members of the investigation team quietly briefed Detective Kajiwara. Osawa and I sat on the sofa on the far side of the room, watching. I could see Kajiwara go pale. He wiped the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief several times. Bad news, Osawa thought. Mr. Osawa, ma'am. Kajiwara shuffled his way over to them at last. We've just gotten word from headquarters. Right now, the task force is in an uproar after a change in direction from the higher-ups. The detectives who were on the scene have been ordered to discontinue the kidnapping investigation. That's a jump point to Kano, but we already got to this to be continued. He hesitated ominously. Osawa braced himself. Please, let's hear it. It would seem that your daughter Maria is safe. What? Osawa felt an unexpected surge of relief. You mean it? The case has been solved, added I. For a moment, they almost sounded like a happily married couple. Why are we zooming in on Kajiwara's ass? It was only the stern look on Kajiwara's face that gave them pause. However, as of yet, we do not have her in custody. I'm not sure I understand, Osawa said. You know she's alive, but you don't have her. How? Deep furrows appeared in Kajiwara's forehead. Or was that Osawa continuing to speak? I thought that might have been but alright, whatever. I'm sorry, sir. The information we've received from up top is complicated. We've confirmed that she was able to escape confinement. It's just... The detective gave every appearance of holding something back. If there's something you need to tell us, then just say it, Osawa told him. It would seem that Maria has been infected with the virus. Infected? Osawa felt as if a taloned claw had just clutched his heart. It's not one I've ever heard of before, but apparently it's called the Uwa virus. Osawa's vision went dark. He felt as if he plunged into a black void of despair. Darling? I asked raspily. She didn't need to put her fears into words. Osawa felt them just as plainly in his own gut. You're an expert on virology, aren't you, Mr. Osawa? Kajiwara said. Are you familiar with this Uwa virus? Osawa held up a hand to forestall further questions. There was no time for that. How many hours ago was she infected? He demanded. I wasn't told that much. Is that important to know, sir? Depending on when Maria was infected, we may or may not still be. Osawa trailed off abruptly. The reality of the situation struck home. This wasn't the same as when Hitomi had been affected. Right now, there was no way of getting Tanaka's cooperation, which meant there was no way of accessing the antiviral storage. In other words, getting the cure to Maria would be impossible. Osawa's head swam. Detective Kajiwara, I beg of you. The people need to catch Tanaka as soon as possible. I can't share the details, but if you don't, something terrible is going to happen. Oh no. Just then, Kajiwara's cell phone rang. He picked up quickly. What did you say? Detective's shout shattered the anxious silence that had fallen. I shuddered visibly at the outburst. Kajiwara nodded sharply, still listening. More creases formed in his forehead. Understood. I'll let him know. He hung up. All eyes were on him. That was headquarters. Osawa swallowed the lump in his throat. He could feel himself quaking all over. A minivan we believe belonged to the syndicate exploded near Jinin in Shibuya. A body was found amongst the burning wreckage of the vehicle. Who was it? Osawa interjected. Tell me. Please, don't let it be Maria. Please, don't let it be Hitomi. Kajiwara took a deep breath before speaking. We've conclusively identified the remains as Mr. Tanaka's. Wasn't expecting her outburst. I was expecting Kenji to be a little mad about that one. Alright, well, no! The cry was visceral, almost bird-like. Osawa looked around in surprise. It was I. It's not true! You're lying! Her shrill screams reverberated through the room. Osawa felt like he wanted to scream too. With Tanaka dead, there was no way to get to the antiviral. Which meant that Maria was going to die.
Yo, why does this game continue to heat up in every freaking chapter? Like, oh my god. So good. So good. This ain't the old SOS anymore. I'm going to stop you. Oh, how touching. What do you mean you'll kill me? In order to minimize the spread of the virus. What's going down as we enter 4 o'clock? Dang, we have 4 hours to save Maria. Getting deep. It is getting deep. So, damn. Damn. It's getting real out there. It's getting real out there. But on that note, just going to end things off for today. Next time we're going to 4 o'clock. 1600 hours. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day and see you next time for some more Let's Play Shibuya Scramble. 428 Shibuya Scramble. Really curious to see what happens now. Oh boy. Goodbye.